And we were just noting how unbelievably red it has become on the market itself, almost 4% to the downside here for the NASDAQ. We're not quite there yet, but 3.72. The S&P about 2.72%, we'll call it for the Dow as well. Look at that number, 4.5 to the upside right now for crude oil. Some of the energy names definitely holding up a little bit better than the rest of the overall market. But what a big day it has been for the market to the downside. Obviously, both Bitcoin and Ethereum there, you can see at the bottom, they're also under significant pressure. And this all goes back to what happened this morning. If you were busy, maybe at work or somewhere else, and you missed it, the jobs number this morning coming out higher than expected. And yes, that's good for people who need jobs, but bad for stocks in the sense that that means the workforce and the employment still higher than expected. And that could signal that the Fed has to step in and do even more than they already have for this fight against inflation. It's a big day around here because it's Trade Ideas Day. If you haven't done so already, make sure you check out the platform. Absolutely great deal for you all weekend long. TraderTv30, use that as your promotional code. Get 30% off all weekend long. Michael Noss is here from Trade Ideas. He's going to be with us throughout the remainder of the afternoon to answer your questions. Throw some symbols at us. We'll have a look from Michael Noss is a chartered market technician. We'll have a look from a technical aspect. Yep. I mean, it's been a wild day already, but I mean, a few things you've been looking at still doing quite well.
Yeah, and it's the benefit of relative strength, and we've been kind of talking about it all day when the camera's off, and just using a scanner like Trade Ideas and just trying to find the stuff that even when the market is selling, I've been long all day. Everything I've taken, I've not taken a single short, and doing quite well just by sticking in the names that the institutions, or when they're taking the market down, they're not taking these individual names down. So every time the market gets a little bit of a bounce, I get a chance to sell some and repeat.
So many interesting ideas, so many interesting scans included as a part of Trade Ideas. So we'll get into more of that as we get into the afternoon. Sean and Neil are both at the Jays game this afternoon, which hasn't started yet, by the way. So they're not at the Jays game yet, but they're not here either. Here comes, yeah, exactly, Randy. Randy just said they're at the bar, which is probably true. Here comes Luca sitting in for Sean, and Arun is still here.
What's going on, everybody? Hopefully everybody's having a great day, enjoying the week, locking in those profits, as Prad would say. Hopefully everybody having a great day. And yeah, today was actually insane. And just to quickly cover this AMD 60 level, I think we all said this at the same time. I'm like, man, this level is going to be a banger. This long is going to be sick. And I was testing around with a little bit of smaller size, kind of feeling it out. Then had the long for size, and it really, really looked like it was going to go there, and just kind of failed right away. So I'm not really sure. I mean, go figure, right? It's a new level to the downside. It has not been here this year. It is SSR, which kind of gave me conviction to the long side. But I mean, I guess you guys know the rules, right? It's got to stop everybody out in one direction before it kind of reverts, if it even does today. So yeah, my eyes are there at that 60 level. Definitely interesting. Printing a bunch of volume here below that. And yeah, that 140 level on Apple, definitely a solid level. I'm going to see if I can get some bid there as well.
Yeah, Luca's in. We're going to be doing something different today, it seems like, because we've got some positions on. I mean, Luca, actually, I've got some positions on. I thought you had some positions on too, but no, it's just all me. From this morning, and we talked about this morning, right? We were talking about how we're looking to fade this market on this move through any sort of bounce that we had mid-morning. We're like, okay, we're going to look to fade the shorts. You see that I've still got all of my shorts from this morning. Ignore the BAC long. You may have seen a BAC long in there. That was just for us to reset the system, so I just kind of got in and got out on the spread. But we're still long, short, all five. 3 shorts are in the money. 2 of them are out of the money. Go figure, right? The 2 shorts that are out of the money, Cat and Etsy. But we've got Netflix up $5 in the money right now. I've already cashed some out of Netflix here. We had that one there, nice little short on the pop to 234, and then clearly in front of 230, it got some out. And now we're still going to manage the rest of this. We've still got PG up $1, and then BA Boeing up about 60 cents or so. The other 2 out of the money. So I'm net positive to overall, but I'm just surprised that not everything is falling off. So clearly there's some strength around somewhere, relative strength. Google was one of those names early on, but for the time being, the trend is clearly to the downside. This is what the futures has done from this morning on, and it doesn't look like it wants to. They're not getting much traction here. We're sitting not too far away from. We were sitting not too far away from 36.50. Now we're at 36.60. Maybe a late day covering rally to kind of get the market to the upside, but it does look like 50 is next up on this hit list from the market. 36.50 and then 3600. Every 50 points down, but this is going to be an interesting one. It's a Friday. Markets are down 3.6% on the NASDAQ, and we're not done yet. So clearly there's a lot left on this market there, Luca, and I think it's going to be a good fun one there.
Oh yeah, for sure. And just speaking towards my positions, I don't quite have the patience like yourself. Sitting in positions all day. For myself, it's make that money, get flat, and enjoy life and just relax. So obviously, right now, looking for positions. Market's really picking up here. I think I kind of want to try the long through. See, this is the problem on AMD, and where's my chart? Because I'm not usually sitting towards the left here, so I got to kind of recalibrate myself. But yeah, the problem is, the trend is down, right? The overall trend is down. It's like take a name like AMD, it's now down 11%, and this kind of looks sloppy. Like I have a lot of fills here, and these are, sometimes kind of testing around, taking shorts, covering, like recycling, creating like a free position for myself and then riding it. Tried a little bit of a bounce play here, and let me just remove this just to kind of clean this up for everybody to see. Like tried the bounce thinking, maybe we could rip back to VWAP, very bouncy on the tape. I'm not really sure if anybody was in this today around the longs, but if you noticed on the tape, you saw that kind of bounce action. It was like a lot of selling, not really going down, and then the bounces were very, very quick to the upside. So I'm telling myself, I'm like, look, the soft side for call it 30 cents, 50 cents seems to be up. So let me try this. But I guess a good rule of thumb for myself going forward is when you have numbers that come out, they're negative. When you have the kind of catalyst on AMD, it's negative. Like the short is good. So this is sometimes you want to flip to long, like we've seen it time and time again throughout the year, where you get the hard sell-off, you get the bounce back to VWAP, shorts are stuck, and then it kind of rips towards high a day area. You tend to not get those on days where it's it's down so much, like negative catalyst, whether it's AMD, Nvidia from a few weeks ago, or Apple. So I'm sort of telling myself, look, like I gotta really scale down on these bounce plays. Call it, we have a list here, like the Sour Sally's list, and I went and wrote bounce plays on the list because these bounce plays are just not working the way that they could, and I think that's really a good tell. It was a learning experience for myself on this one for sure, and hopefully a learning experience for you guys as well. And yeah, much love in the chat. Thank you guys so much. I got the haircut. It looks good. I promise it looks fresh in the morning. But as the day goes on, as a trader, you're like, oh no, this, that. So yeah, no, lots of fun there. But yeah, see if we get some positions going.
Luca, like with the chat talking a lot about your hair, you wanna? I'll put you on the spot. You wanna share some of your hair with me? I think we can even it out a little bit here. Clearly, I've done a lot of trading here, as you guys can see. But yeah, it's going to be one of those days where this market's going to really heat up towards the end. We've got a lot done so far, and this market is not even close to being over with. So with the market down 3.6%, there's going to be some large volume to be done on a Friday at the end of the day, especially now with the jobs number out. So pay attention. There's going to be some moves that we can actually figure out even towards the latter half of the day that maybe we can find with some tools that we have here, including trade ideas. Brendan?
Yeah, some of the things we were discussing in the pre-market this morning, guys, if you joined us right out of the gate, still in play. And I'm speaking specifically of some of these cannabis stocks that we were discussing this morning on the watch list this morning after what happened yesterday afternoon. If you remember, President Biden unexpectedly releases this statement at an event in New York and comes out and says not only is he going to pardon federal criminal cases on cannabis, but also suggests that at a state level, any charges get dropped as well for cannabis infringement. So monster moves late in the day yesterday. Monster moves then today right back down, guys, for everything weed related.
For those hot names, right?
Which one?
The weed names.
Oh yeah. Oh man. Yesterday was actually crazy, and actually, good thing you reminded me here. Anybody who was watching Tilray, I was actually talking to Ian about this, and this is another good example. It's like, so yesterday, you have the news that comes out, and this thing flies to the upside, and I can't bring myself, like I wanted to get long over here in the 30s. Where is it? Around over here. So it's like I missed that initial move, had a little bit of consolidation, gave you a sort of a dip, riding the moving average here. And again, for anybody wondering, this is just very like EMA 13 moving average, just to kind of gauge the obvious. You know, when you get a very, very strong move like this and you get a little bit of a pullback, like to me, this was the ad, and I wasn't quick enough, and I really wanted to like size up, and you know, I was like, oh, I want to get my price, like not really the area. I want to really get a good price so that I don't risk, like don't kind of distort the risk to return there. And then yeah, the move to the upside, you know, had earnings, and then the fade play today was awesome. But you know, going back to yesterday, like the volume was there, absolutely insane. You know, kind of crazy that you know that would spike it as much as it did. You know, I mean, I don't know if they're leaning towards just legalization, if it's going to kind of go into that area. But you know, from a trading perspective, when you get that initial move up and then that dip back and the trend is strong, like this is where you like, for myself, this is where like I should have really got aggressive, loaded the size, and you know, instead of saying, oh, I want to get 33s or 34s, like, oh, it's 36, just take 36, like punch up, like take the size, like it's there, it's showing you that it's going to go up. You know, and the second leg up, like look at this, then it runs back to the upside, breaks that 350 level, and just off to the races, right? So, you know, consider covering when it goes sideways. Like, oh, okay, now it's sideways. Like, you know, if it breaks trend, okay, it broke trend here, you know, scale out. Like, for myself, I'm like, I let that one go. I was so upset about it. You know, me and Ian were talking about it. We saw it. We were here. We were both at our desks. And today I was like, you know, I don't even want to be frustrated with this. I'm not paying for shorts, but man, what a short off that 4 area.
Yeah, but today, that was yesterday, right?
That was yesterday.
Yeah, today we were coming in. I was like, oh, okay, shorts. Not shorts, but I'm like, oh, there's potential. It's going to be a knee-jerk reaction based on how it handled itself, potential shorts. Remember I said I'm going to prioritize the index names and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so I stuck with that. I kind of completely forgot about Tilray. But you could see the fact that it was actually running hot all the way up to about 450 and then started to kind of just lose traction. And then they tried to rally a few times. That's a 60-minute chart. I'll break it down to the 5. And they did try to bounce a few times, and they were getting nothing. And then once you broke through that 360 low, 360, 350 off the open, market was negative, you know you're looking to potentially fade anything, right? So it's a limited risk reward because you're looking at 360 towards 4 even, so you're risking about 40 cents upside. Now you're getting back your reward, but to be fair, it's just a matter of tapering the entire move because of the fact that volume is there resisting all the way through 4 even. So yesterday would have been the day to go for the long, and as soon as you saw the pre-market action, that fact that they couldn't really bounce that far, that's where you start to look for the short. And then once you take out the 360 low, 350 low, then you look for the fade on any sort of bounce move, just like you did with the rest of the market, right? So that's kind of the move from yesterday, from Luca's perspective, and for me from today's perspective. But again, then you got to take the trade. We're looking at these trades saying, oh, we would have done this and that, but like if you don't pay attention to it, you're not going to take it. In my case, I did not. We went over it with Brendan, and then I just kind of like, oh, Netflix, oh, BA, Etsy, and then that was the end of that. So futures now at 58. Market down 3.6%. Day's not over, hour 45 left. There's a lot of imbalances that still need to be coming out. So it's going to be one of those days where it's going to be, hey, everything is negative. Everything I'm seeing from the top index names, and this is in terms of weights, right? Apple 3.4. We've got NVIDIA down 7, chip news, with AMD. And then Tesla down 5.6, 5.9 on Tesla, and Tesla's had a rough go of it. I know Brad likes to trade it. It's once it took out that low, that 233 low from back on the 5th, it was just open season on 230, and now we're at 223. And it's very hard once you see this thing, once you see the train leaving the station, it's very hard to get back on that train. And so I passed up on it. I know Sean had it early on. And Luca, you like trading this. You like Tesla often, right? You get involved with that.
Yeah. So I know, I heard the guys saying, I trade Tesla when it's in play. It's definitely a tough name to trade intraday. But earlier this week, to anybody who had the 250 breakdown on Tesla, that was absolute gold. And let's cover this very quickly. And just to update here, so I have a long on Apple. I kind of felt that the market's going sideways, and we are approaching 3 o'clock, but not yet into the end of the day. And logic here is like maybe we make a little bit of a kind of a low and then quickly reclaim. And for some reason, Apple, where's Apple here? Apple just like it was up here and it wasn't really selling off. Like AMD selling off, everything at the lows, but Apple was kind of holding. I'm like, let me do like a little cheeky buy down here, see if I get that fill. So that was actually clean and lined up with the ES kind of breaking the lows and then popping to the upside. The problem that I have with these trades is like now I don't know where my target is. Like my target is like 41, but I feel that's like really aggressive. You got that kind of resistance channel. Maybe take some out, at the resistance, be responsible, and then see if the rest wants to run. I mean, we're down 2.5%. I'm not convinced that the market's going to rip to the upside and go test VWAP. So, maybe responsible to get yourself out. That's why you kind of scale in, scale out of these trades. Sometimes I'm just all in, and then I scale out. So see if we can get out some out over there. And going back to Tesla, I mean, this thing was A+ above 250. So it was at like 265. And let me quickly bring up the wider time frame. This will be the hourly. Actually, you know what? Let me see if this might look really sloppy for how many trades I have on this thing. But so we were over here, and guys, remember, AI Day was on Friday. And so for myself, it kind of felt like a potential, sell the news event. It's like, people are maybe long, but the market's maybe breaking down. Let's see what can happen there. Then they had bad deliveries. So that's kind of, it was down on the day, opened below that 260 level, right? So from beforehand, it was like, lighter volume, coming down into that level, sort of going sideways, right? Then breaking below 260. And I was talking to Prad about this, and I was like, yo, Prad, like I want this to open above 260, short through 260, and then 250 is gonna be that is the level, and that's where I'm going. Like that's where you take it hard, because fresh level post split, 250 breakdown, like that's huge. And go figure, we opened below 260, so we're at 255. And for me, that was the tell. I was like, this is going to be a banger. We open lower. We can't even fade back the gap. We can't get to 260. I think it was at like 255, and the tape in the morning just said it all. Like this was just selling off very, very strong. So, these are the trades that you size up on. These are the trades that you want to like smash. So I was okay taking the short through 250. And as you guys can see, short over here, cover down over here. And, great traders say that, look, you only need to capture 30% of the move. You don't got to capture it all. You're never going to capture it all, rarely. You only need to capture 30% of the move over and over and over again. And that's how you make your day. That's how you make your month. That's how you make your year eventually, right? So, that was a banger. I took a lot of size there. Held the whole way, covered right over there, 245. And that was insane. And we didn't really, I'm actually surprised that the next day we popped. And this next day I really got chopped up because every opportunity that I could short it, I was trying to, get short. Then I gave up, and I was so tilted, and I went for a walk. And then the Twitter news dropped, and they nuked. So I was like hitting it. I was like, I'm done with this. And then literally it's like, oh, he's done with this? All right, send it back down. And then it kind of flushed and, kind of hasn't looked back since. Now it's below 225. Today is just kind of very robotic to the downside on Tesla. I think you would have had to be very, very patient, short in the morning, and just be, hold that, don't let it go. Similar to your style.
I was going to say, hey, you want to know who did that? This guy over here worked the fade this morning, and then just, that's the thing too, right? When you have the conviction, or you at least have your approach that you want to take to the market, and you're like, you know what, this is going to be one of those trades where I'm going to, as this market bounces, I'm going to fade this, and I'll be sitting out of the money for a bit. That's okay, but I'm going to fade this because that's how I trade. And then once it gets going, you got to just let it work, right? So letting it work, as you can see. One thing I do want to say is Boeing, one of the 5 shorts. I've actually kind of ended this trade now. That's a nice, 20-cent winner, about 20 cents or so. But I took it in front of 129.50, and I was looking for a breakthrough 128. But now we're bouncing back above 129. It's starting to go sideways. Market is already at a point where we're late into the day, being down as much as we are. There's a lot of shorts already on the table. I can easily see some covering happening, so we could get a run to the upside. So what's going to run when you get that kind of move? It's going to be all the shorts that are refusing to go down, at least in a meaningful way. I've got 20 cents on Boeing. Let's just lock that in. I've still got, obviously, Netflix up 5 and change, and PG close to $1. So I've still got those two. And the other two are still working. Etsy and Cat are still working. So for me, I'm just kind of like, you know what? It's late in the day. Let's start locking in some profit on some of these other names, and we'll come back to it. So that's what we're going to do, and we'll go to Brendan.
We had another great question for Michael Noss, who is still here from Trade Ideas, to kind of clear up a little bit of confusion or some questions that we've had as far as the platform is concerned. Again, all weekend long, guys, Trader TV 30 gets you 30% off Trade Ideas. Michael Noss is going to talk a little bit about the level 2. We had a great question regarding size on the level 2 and whether or not the platform can scan for that.
Yeah, and it's funny because this is something that they kind of started out originally when level 2 was something that was even more utilized than it is today. So the question was basically, do we have level 2 data? What do we scan for on the level 2? We mainly focus on that level 1 price, but when we detect a large bid or a large offer or a offer that's expanding, so maybe it was 1,000 shares and now it's 10,000 shares, it's moving to 20,000 shares, we can scan that level 1 price and tell you when and where things are bidding and offering.
Amazing. So not necessarily looking for scanning for across the entire market for 100,000 shares sitting on the bid of Apple or per se, but size matters in the sense of what is trading, what is actually trading when we get to that price. So even more functionality and flexibility for the Trade Ideas platform. More to come, guys. Again, if you have any questions, throw them in the chat. We'll get them answered for you today on Trade Ideas Day here at Trader TV, guys.
Yeah, as Brendan said, in markets as a whole, size does matter. So right now, this market is thinking, hey, we've got more sell sides than buy side, and we're taking a look at those lows. Actually, we're putting in new lows now, but it really doesn't matter. 53 is, it's okay, but 50 is going to be the one that you really look at. So this actually goes back to a question that we had earlier. I was meaning to get to it and then I completely forgot about it. Bradley asking me, once you for futures traders, or if you're trading futures for new guys, if you're looking at levels and once you've figured it out, I think this is it. You can fix me on that, Bradley. Once you've figured out your levels that you want to work with, like what's next or something like that. So I'm like, once you've determined what you're going to do, just do it and then wait. Because at the end of the day, people look at the markets as a buy, you win or you lose, right? But because of your emotional reaction to how the market fluctuates, more often than not, it's not 50-50. You're going to shift it in one direction over the other, and it's usually towards the losing side because you'll have a reason to get out or walk away from a trade or whatever, cutting a trade before it gets going. So my suggestion for a lot of people is, once you've determined what you're going to do, just let it work until you're either proven wrong or you're proven right. Don't get involved, right? Obviously new information will come in, but in a market that's going sideways or even trending to the downside, there's nothing new that can come in and then tell you that, hey, we should be in the opposite direction. So just wait until you get that information. In a sell side market, if you were short, and I screwed up earlier this morning, I had a great short, 37.20, I screwed that one up pre-market and we got out with a 3.5 point hit, and then the market completely fell off. Yeah, I screwed up, okay, I'll get over it, but at the same time, I never gave up on the idea that it was going to be a short type of move. So we're going to fade any sort of pops and work it until I'm proven wrong. And that's just it. Once you've got your read, let the market tell you that you're wrong instead of you telling yourself that you're wrong. So try to remove as much possible barriers to your approach and just consistently execute whatever your plan is, just consistently execute it, and the numbers, they'll take care of themselves, right? That's the end of the day. Then if you're wondering why do I still have Netflix $5 in the money and I haven't walked away, I'll tell you why. Because I looked at the bigger chart and I'm thinking, okay, Netflix is a great chart, a great short here, 235 and change. We've been kind of going back and forth between 245, 246, and then there was one day, 5th or so, we were snuck underneath that 230 and then snapped right back up. So clearly the inflection point here is around 233, because going back to the 30th September, we're bouncing around 233, 234 for the most part, except for that one day on the 5th, right? So if we were to get back underneath that 233 and we really hesitated with the market being negative, I can take a shot at, why not take a shot at that 233, put the stop at 238, or 234 in my case, and put the stop at 238. I'm risking $4. Can I get the $4 back? Yeah, 230. There's no support at 230. So next up is going to be that 228, which is where we are now. So Netflix has gotten past any sort of barriers. It's done a decent risk reward, and now I can just trail this. I've already locked in some profit on Netflix. Where is it? I've locked in some profit around that 230. Just because it's a round number, I wanted to participate in the exit. I'll use that move to get out. And now here we are going, it's risk-free for me, and it's also covering the losses on CAT and Etsy. So this is kind of how you have to play it. You have to play the netting out game. You're not going to win on everything, but as long as you're, I'm sure you guys hear it a lot, as long as your winners are bigger than your losers, you'll be fine. And right now, PG and Netflix are adding to about $7.15 in wins, and CAT and Etsy are about $2.25 in losses. So clearly I'm netting out positive, right? And I've already locked in some profit too. So that's kind of the approach I would take, regardless if it's equities or futures. Identify the level, execute, and then let it work. That's it. Simple as that. I know, Luca, I'm sure you have some thoughts on that, because everyone has a different approach on how to kind of trade, right?
I was actually thinking to myself, I have to take a page from your book, because I'm not patient at all. But again, a different strategy, definitely a scalper myself. You know, if I catch a 30-cent move, 50-cent move, I'm telling myself, look, I got to get out of this before, you know, it rips against me. Am I going to really hold this 30 cents against me? But I think I definitely have more conviction on those on the larger time frame. So, you know, you look at a level, you find it, you see it, and you're like, okay, this level seems to be solid, so I'm willing to actually give it a wider risk around this level and play off of it, and then hold for the $1, $2 move. Because, you know, if big money is getting in around this level, if it has showed you that it's a good level, then it's probably worth it. You know, whereas other times maybe it's not so much, right? But from a scalping perspective, I mean, look, I was wrong on this, and, you know, looking at this AMD chart here, I was long, right? I'm thinking, okay, 60 is going to hold. It's SSR. This is when we just came on, like we're not on yet. This is just before 2 o'clock. And I was like, hey, let me try the long. Let me see if, you know, if it's going to bounce. Are we going to go back up? And I'm like, you know, getting long, getting out, getting long, recycling, getting long, playing off of the level. And I'm basically looking at the tape, trying to figure out, are we going to go higher? And I think this final move up was very, very quick. And I thought, okay, now we're going to go. But it got slammed so quickly, and I was like, okay, I got to get out of the size. So I got out, and then, you know, obviously I was wrong. Like, I was wrong here, but I didn't get destroyed, right? I was like trying to, you know, recycle shares, manage risk, playing off the level. Not so much a hard level, just very discretionary, like, is selling coming in? What's going on here? So, you know, kind of scalping around, recycling shares, trying to create a better average for myself. And then if the move actually happens, I think my target on this would have been like, you know, 50s, 60s, 70s, and then hold some for like just like a whip up to 61. Like, maybe you get the fill, like maybe not. You know, not convinced, obviously down so much, right? So, you know, again, didn't lose too much. Scalper's mentality, I'm in, I'm out, I'm recycling, I'm building the position, not holding for a crazy move to the upside. You know, and this is where I'm beating myself up, because again, negative news up here. Look at this. I had the short at VWAP. Like, that was a 6 short, but I'm covering like at not the low, but like I'm covering when it stops. So like from a scalping perspective, and I can't hate myself for this, because this is going to be my strategy. I'm going to do this over and over again. So again, when you guys are working on strategy, building out like your playbook, trying to figure out what works for you, I don't really get upset that it did this whole down move and I was like short over here, because the plan the whole time was to, you know, cover over here. But with the size that I'm taking, I could definitely hold, like I could hold 100 shares. And like that 100 shares would be an extra $300, you know? So it's like, whatever shares you're playing with, like hold a percentage, like 5%, 10%, 20%, like you don't have to hold 80%, but that's where I'm beating myself up, because it was clear that the trend is down, things are going down, you had the negative catalyst. It was, you know, very, very easy to kind of get that short, get the fill, and even like risk. This is where you could have risked off maybe off high a day. But again, from my perspective, and like I don't know if I'm wrong here to say this, like on a day like today, but it's like, I'm like, oh, let me short here and let me cover here, you know, as a scalper. But maybe on a day like today, I should be saying, okay, let me short here, let me cover a little bit, let me hold some for the move, instead of, you know, now flipping long, chopping myself up and whatever.
Let me ask you one thing, and this is just because like I can't trade the way these guys trade. I have to, you know, you got to find an approach that works for you and your mindset and your personality and whatnot. So the way I do it is, you know, it works for me. I'm good with that. But let me ask you this though: with that many trades around certain, specifically the 60 level, how exhausted are you after, you know, going through that many trades?
I actually have a crazy endurance.
Okay.
Like I have, yeah, people ask me that all, like I have this conversation a lot, and people are asking me like, you know, how do you make 700 trades every day, 5 days a week, and then show up the next week? I don't get that tired. Maybe it's the espresso, maybe it's, I'm not too sure, but I'm not like super exhausted, but it's more so if I miss a fill, yeah, I'll get like extra upset about that.
So with that trade being essentially off the 60 because of size,
yeah,
is there a reason you didn't take the short when it broke?
SSR. I could say that, if I was on my desk over there, I'd have it, but no, I probably wouldn't have it because SSR. It's just harder to get that fill, and then, cross, you miss. I didn't expect that move. I honestly did not expect this down move here. Like, now this is fading. And somebody in the chat was actually saying, 59, 58 support. And I want to quickly bring up daily here on AMD quickly. You had AMD, obviously, everybody knows, very strong name to the upside. Then you had that kind of resistance area. This is before, right? And then you had the COVID, the COVID dip was over here, kind of bounced back. This is the breakout. To me, this is like, okay, now we're staying home. Everyone's staying home. People are, spending a lot on graphics cards, like revenue through the roof. So this is like the strong move to the upside. Now we are reverting back to the mean. So I don't actually hate playing off of that like 58, 59, but probably better to have that idea, on a day that it's maybe not a Friday, not down 12%. Because again, it's like I'm expecting the bounce over here. It didn't really whip up. So, am I expecting it to rip up from over here? Like, not really. But yeah, good look there. I actually should have flipped short.
So in the chat, somebody was asking, this very quick question I can answer. Is the market going to halt down today? I mean, you never know, but just be aware the halt down bands on the futures market, or the indexes at least, 7% to the downside. We're only at 2.87 on the ES. 13% is a next band, and those are only valid until 330, 320, and then at which point it has to be 20%. So odds of us halting down are, it's a rough day, but it's highly unlikely, but you never know. I'm never going to rule it out. And all I can say is, you guys can see that? Yeah, that's what's happening in this market right now, because there goes 50 on the market, 3650 now gone, and here we are underneath 49, and like I said, 3650 is the next up level. Now that's gone. What do you got? 3600? I don't know. This is going to be a slippery slope for a lot of these markets, for this market specifically, because it's taking out so many big levels. Like, you look at the daily on this, it's a rough go of it. Like, this was the day where we ignore these lines. These are probably old lines that I haven't been on this computer in a while. The fact that we took out 3720, 3750, 3720, 3670, and now 3650. Like, what's stopping us from going to 3600? Let's be fair. This market's slipping, and what does this mean for Monday? We'll talk about that when we get back from Brennan.
We are thrilled to announce an absolutely special partnership with Trade Ideas, the platform itself. You can get 30% off all weekend long this weekend, Trader TV 30 upon checkout. We are going to go through some of the basics you need to know when it comes to Trade Ideas. We're so happy to have Michael Noss, Chartered Market Technician from Trade Ideas, in-house today to give you a special rundown on how to use the platform if you're logging in for the very first time, Michael.
Yes, and the platforms, trading in general is all very confusing. There's a lot of information to look at. So what we have this wonderful feature that we call the channel bar. If we go to my screen here, when you start Trade Ideas for the first time, you're presented with a pretty basic window that just allows you to open everything else in the platform. And we have talked about all kinds of features, from auto trading to artificial intelligence to pattern recognition to whatever scan you want. But to access this, it all starts from the new menu, right? From the new menu, you have access to all of our different scans. But what I'm going to focus with to get started is our channel bar. So as soon as you open this up, you're presented with a blank screen, but all of this good information right on the left-hand side here. So these are pre-built, complete layouts for all of our clients based on what it is that you're interested in, not only as trading total, but just at that particular time. So, for example, you may start your day by clicking on the pre-market channel, and this will load up with a pre-built channel that will show you the stocks that are gapping up and down the most pre-market. If you're looking at this during the pre-market, you're going to see things moving around saying, hey, this thing is starting to spike up. Maybe there's some volume moving. Maybe there's something going on in the pre-market for this, and then maybe after that you decide you're a momentum trader. So we have a momentum channel right under that, and switching to this is going to give you a whole other breadth of layouts. It's going to be more intraday focused. It's going to be kind of low float momentum, the fun stuff that everybody likes to trade. But then you can just continue to jump around, right? If you are a swing trader, we have a swing relative strength system that you can click on here, and you get some picks that are generated algorithmically that says, hey, these are some stocks that are strong for you. Now, one thing you may want to do as you're clicking through these, you may want to kind of take some of these and make them your own. And you can actually right-click. Right-clicking in the middle of a window is kind of the best way to bring up all of your options in each individual scan. So, for example, if I really like this window right here, which shows all of the relative strength picks from this week's algorithm, if I always want to keep this window on my side, I can just right-click, I can say duplicate into a free-floating window, and then now I own this window. So as long as I then go through and I start switching through, so say for example, I want to go back, I'm still in the pre-market, and I want to go back to the pre-market, I still have access to this window. So being able to first start with scans that we create and pick and choose from them as you go. You know, you go to one channel, you're like, this is a scan I like. Maybe you go to another channel and you talk about, oh, you know, I really like the look of this chart. That's the best way to get started before you kind of really dive in and start customizing from there.
If somebody wants to maybe customize a little bit further and, you know, they hear this loud guy named Sean on a trading show on YouTube talking about this specific scan that he uses all the time, tell everyone how easy it is just to incorporate a scan that's custom built onto anyone's account.
Yeah, so we have this ability. We absolutely love it. You can email in to us if you want to see any of the scans that you're seeing the gentleman use today. But you can use what we call cloud links. So you can share, and basically what will happen is they will share their scan to the cloud, and we keep all of these in-house for the people at Trader TV. And yeah, when you right-click and you save that, that will generate a link here that I have up on my screen. If I click Save to Share, it creates this little generated link. So say you have some friends that you trade with, say you have a loud guy named Sean that you like his scans or something like that, you can say, hey, can I take a look at your scan? Can I take a look at your layout? And they can save this layout and they can copy it and they can send it over to you. When you get that on the other side, you just go up to that main title bar that I talked about initially, and you just go File and Load from Cloud. You can paste that link just using basic copy and paste into this little bottom bar right here. And as soon as you click load, you can see I have access to that scan that I just sent. And this is a great way to share scans, customize, and tweak things from there.
Just that easy, guys. An absolutely great platform that we rely on very heavily every single day on this show. Go check them out, Trade Ideas. A few basics there from Michael Nosh, Chartered Market Technician at Trade Ideas. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that. And I want to say very quickly, you know, speaking towards Trade Ideas, I was thinking to myself yesterday, I was like, oh, AT&T, that 15 level looks spicy. Maybe there'll be something there. And then I was talking to Max in the back, and he's like, guys, AT&T approaching 15. And I was like, Max, how did you know about that? And he's like, Trade Ideas. And I was like, oh, okay. So I wasn't actually looking at Trade Ideas, but it was Luca Ideas, and it lines up. So, you know, but I only have one idea. I'm sure there's tons of ideas, right? So great look there. Yeah, so I'm long here on Apple off that 140 level. Once again, trying this, you know, tried the long, a little bit of a smaller size away from 140, and then tried it again here. But I'm not super convinced on the long, so you got to be kind of careful. I'm thinking maybe we push back. We could see 140.40 again, depending, you know, the timing that comes through there. But, you know, hopefully it doesn't dip back again and stop me out. You know, I was actually convinced here, had the long, had the ad, got out, had the ad again, got myself out again. So, you know, this was a break even. This is a small loser. Now I'm in a nice position to the upside with a good average. So let's see if this can continue. You know, last thing I want to see here is this breaks back below 140, but, you know, the risk is in check, so it doesn't really matter too much.
Yeah, it's going from Luke ideas to Arun's ideas. I've got none left, sorry guys. I used them all this morning, which was about fading the bounces. But going back to the futures, we were talking about this earlier, and it was like, well, what does this mean now? Okay, with this market being down as much as it is, what does it do? Like, what does it do? And this is, the issue with this type of move is when you took out 3,600, which was a low, let me pull out the daily, it was from June, right? It was like a June low, it was like close to, it was 3640, and then we finally, you know, you do a little bit of slippage, you get through 3600, big round number. People care about round numbers more than anything else. So 3600 gets slipped, And then we just rallied, right? Once the market was open, it opened at 30 or something, or by the time we got to the open, it was at 30 or something like that. And then we just rallied, straight rally, 200 points in 2 days. When I came on the show, doing my futures segments in the mornings, I was like, this is, at some point we're gonna have to stop this because we can't sustain this kind of movement in 2 days. In 2 days, 200 points, we can't sustain this kind of movement. And then, but the thing with that is that we got above some big technical levels, specifically that 3730, 3740 area and 50, call it. So the dip into that area made sense. Goes back up to 3800, and then we started dipping again. And then this morning, all you needed was one number, takes out that 3720, breaks the support, and then breaks every other mid-support level that you have, and you have nothing left now until that low. So this is where you're stuck at now. Like, what does this mean for today? Well, today's essentially not over with, but the read for today has been taken already. That was a short off that number earlier through that 3720. That was the read. Now that we've gotten where we are, there's very little to do, because if you're gonna work levels, the only levels that I can see now after getting through that, not even the 50, but the 70, is gonna be down here towards the lows. Everything in between, until this market does some back and forth action, you don't have any levels to work with. So all you can really do at this point is just let the market go and then come back to it. And when it comes to setting up levels or marking off levels, there's a question about whether I use the body of the candle or the tail. Be very aware that the information in the tail, I personally think, is worth more than the body of the candle. Why would I say that? Yeah, it opened here, closed here, great. But that tells me nothing about where this market doesn't want to be. And the tails tell me that. If this market got up to, like, let's just say yesterday, we got as high as 38.11 around 9 o'clock, and then we came right back under, clearly they don't want to be around 3,800. So there's clear resistance there, and that's why I prefer to use the tails, because it tells me where the market's rejecting from, which gives me indications of where are potential large sellers sitting to kind of distribute activity, right? So through 3,800, yeah, I got to 3820, but they're distributing through 3,800 into 3,820, right? When you think of big scale, 20 points is not that big. So they're distributing through here, big sell side action, and now we're falling off here. So that's what I pay attention to when it comes to setting up levels. Tails, I do like to pay attention to them. I use them primarily to figure out where the market doesn't want to be. If the market doesn't want to be there, then I can kind of set up a trade around that, right? If the market is refusing to kind of stick around that area, then I can potentially find a long, or I can really watch out for if my short gets to that point. Prime example of that is Netflix. Netflix, yeah, we got a great trade on, but after taking my initial profit, I'm looking at where does the market not want to be, so I know to watch out for it if it starts bouncing around that area. Netflix is right through here. This little zone here, that 228, 227, we're in that zone. If we get through that, then I'm looking at 225 next. So I'm looking at potential areas, potentially to set up a trade or to protect a trade if it's actually going well in your favor. And right now, Netflix is up $7 in the money for me right now, and I'm not rushing to get out because we're starting to work through that area. So I know that once we get through that area, next up is going to be 225. So I've got another $2 coming. At that point, I'll start looking at, again, do I need to protect or no? And then we'll move it down again, 222. And we'll just keep doing the same thing until I get information that tells me, you know what? They're starting to respect this area. I need to start walking away from this. So that's kind of how I approach looking at charts and setting up levels and whatnot, because the tails are very valuable. I find them to be very valuable to figure out how I'm going to structure a trade around an area the market does not want to be.
I like that analogy. I actually love that analogy. And from a scalping perspective, looking at kind of wicks of the candle, you got the body of the candle, you got the wicks of the candle, and it's like, people tend to say, look, very strong move to the upside, very large relative candle, let's say it kept going, large relative candle. It looks like, oh, the momentum is there. It's very, very strong. But these kind of wick downs and wick ups, it gives you a lot of information. So here's something in real time with Apple, looking at the 140 level, kind of creating the perspective of, we are down. It's very weak, so I'm kind of cautious of that. But it's giving the feel that it wants to stay above that 140 level. So what's going to happen is, and this is the 1 minute candle here, you might see some dips, some quick moves move down, and then a very quick move up. So it'll create that kind of wick off bottom look. And this over here didn't look that good, and the bounce was short lived. But if we, and this is what I'm thinking to myself right now, like I got some out over here, I added some back, and if we kind of wick off bottom and this just does not want to, really sell off and go through 139.90, then maybe good for another bounce, right? So recycling, 30 cent win, nothing too crazy on this for kind of from a scalp perspective, but look at how this kind of candle's creating itself, right? It's like it's selling off, but it's reclaiming, selling off, reclaiming. So I ask myself, where's the candle closing? Where kind of based on, the level, based on size on the book, based on kind of my gut feeling, looking at the tape, is it showing that? Is it confirming it, right? So you kind of see those wick off bottoms, and I say, oh, I love the long even more, right? So here it's like, oh, I like it, but I don't love it. But, if it does some wick off bottoms here and even breaks the low and then reclaims to the upside, creating a larger wick, then, you're going to really get that upside action for like a nice 30, 40 cent move, be very, very quick there. So, that's kind of how I look at that, playing off 140. But again, gauge the day, understand the day that you're in, understand, what is happening here. Markets for the most part are down. It was negative news this morning. Like this is the move on the ES. And, we're probably going to break 140, right? So if we break 140, I'll just get out of this trade again, chalk it up another loser. But, lots of opportunity to come in the next hour. And, I think there will be, I'll recycle this. If I get out, I'll just get back in,
But you're net positive, though, right? Because you got out some around the 50, right?
Yeah,
or the 30.
Yeah, so essentially, it looks bad. Like, when I lose, I don't really lose. Like, I break even.
Right.
So it's like, from my perspective, it's like, when I'm losing on these trades, like, I'm not really losing because, like, the risk is so tight playing off of these levels.
Yeah.
And it's, like, discretionary. And then when I, catch the winner, maybe today's not going to be a really nice one, but sometimes these things just, like, rip back to VWAP. And for myself, it's like, I'll risk 20 cents for $2. That's a great risk to return, but, not so convinced that it'll happen today. But, that's kind of my style, right? Like I'm recycling a lot. I'm really gauging the tape. I'm watching it. I'm getting out. I'm getting back in. And the reason for getting out, and I know some people, you're paying commission, so maybe it's not feasible to do that. You widen your stop and kind of structure it that way. I'm fortunate enough to, I could just get in, get back, get out, get in, get out, get in. And, risk 5 cents, run it, call it 5 times. That's 25 cent risk. Fees are relatively low. And then when I actually catch the move, if I catch a nice 80 cent win, it works out to a 4-to-1. So, that's kind of how I structure it sometimes. But, it really depends on the day.
Yeah, I'm just going through the chat and looking at questions. Bradley, you got another question for me, asking hard stops. I'm sure a lot of people wonder about stops, right? Like when I trade, do I use hard stops or do I wait for a bar to close? I don't necessarily use. I kind of use a hybrid of both. So what I like to do is wait for action above a certain level for me to be like, you know what? I paid more attention to the actual the tape than I do the actual candle itself. But at the same time, I will pay attention to the amount of volume flowing through that level. So I'll look at that and be like, okay, it's time for me to get out because I know this is an area that I want to get out. What's an example of this? Trade that didn't work this morning. What did I take a loss on? Google? Yeah, Google. So Google, no, I made money on Google. Barely though. So I took a short here on Google, right? It's just in front of 100. I didn't like the action on the way back, and I'm like, relative weakness, it's a relative strength, it's holding up well. Let me just walk away. I didn't wait for the candle to close because I saw the action I didn't like, so I just walked away from it. But let's just say I was short, I was holding on to this, right? And I said my stop is going to be right here. What I would do if this market came up to it is wait to see how it handles itself and manages itself up here. Is there going to be a lot of back and forth action? Is there going to be just one-sided directional plays through that 100 to 50 area? I wait to see, but at the same time, although you're waiting to see what happens, you can only wait so long before you just need to walk away. So what I do is I wait to see at the level that I want to participate or potentially get out on, but at the same time, a little bit further than that, I'll put a hard stop in, be like, if it gets to this point, I can't wait anymore, it's time to go, right? So for me, this is the area where I'm going to wait and see, this blue line here, and then I'll put a hard stop, say, here. So the reason I do this is because although I want to get out here, I want to see the action. And I'm trying to prevent potentially a move where this is based on news. If you're waiting to see what this market does at 160 and this market just takes off on news, you're going to get run over and it's going to be bad, right? So for me, it's like, I'm going to see what happens here, but if it gets to this point, let me just get out. Hard stop, get me out. We're going to walk away from this. and just call it a day, right? At that point, it's pretty clear that this market doesn't want to work with this area anymore. I can just walk away from that. So it's a hybrid of both. It's a soft stop until you're pushed too far, at which point it's a hard stop, right? So it's just work with both of them and see how it kind of works. It's a little bit more complicated than straight up saying, oh, I use a hard stop or I just wait to see how it goes. But it comes with a little bit of experience and just go from there. It's however approach you need to take to kind of make things as comfortable for you as possible, because at the end of the day, trading is much easier for you when you're comfortable. And what makes me uncomfortable right now is I'm just noticing that futures refusing to get through 50 in a big, meaningful way, which concerns me because we're getting close to 3 o'clock and there could be some potential covering happening on a lot of these shorts. A lot of people, in a trend like this, a lot of people are probably riding some shorts already. I'm definitely not the only one who's been like, oh, you know what, we're gonna go short today. So a lot of people have decided this. That means there's a lot of shorts on the table. That also means if we get to a point where this market hits even the smallest amount of support, after being down as much as we are, we could easily see a run for the door from a lot of these shorts covering. So guess who wants to get out a little bit in front of that on some of these names? That's going to be me right here. So I'm going to walk away from some of PG. I just took some PG out. Man, this chart is ugly. But you know what? I'm going to walk away from PG entirely, actually. Let me see if I can't walk away from all of that. I'll bid my way out. And then, all right, we've locked in $1.60 on PG. I'm watching Netflix as the last one. I'm going to see if I need to do some damage control on Etsy. Let's see what Etsy's doing. Is Etsy even doing anything? It's just going sideways. I can't do anything with Etsy. Etsy hasn't even worked in my direction all day, so we're just going to leave that one alone. And Caterpillar is the other one. Caterpillar has done nothing. I got in here and it's done nothing. So we're going to leave those two alone. And Netflix, damn Netflix. Now, Netflix is actually accelerating to the sell side. Now we're at $8 in the money on Netflix, and it is going. So we're just going to let it be, and we'll just keep a close eye on it until we hit some, take some profit, just in case we do get a flush to the upside. But at the same time, I'm going to try to let them run as much as I possibly can before I need to get out as well. Brennan.
Speaking of moving back to the upside here, I wanted to mention this. If you missed it during the midday, FedEx to the downside, but we're moving back higher. This was the note that happened during the midday. They forecast lower holiday volume and lower holiday sales forecasts. That caused this drop initially, but just saw FedEx, guys, breaking back to the upside.
Yo, FedEx. It's one name that I had earlier. I was looking at FedEx earlier. Obviously, with so many names on the table, you're just like, you know what? This doesn't look as good as I would prefer. You're going to prioritize the names that look much better, right? If there's like 10 shorts that you're like, oh, I could potentially take this and this, but then within the 10 shorts, you're going to classify priority, right? You're going to be like, you know what? This is one of those trades where I want those trades. I want those shorts now. And the other one's like, you know what? If I get it, if it sets up perfectly, I'll take it. Right? And so at the end of the day, FedEx was there, but I'm just like, you know what? I don't really feel like playing around this 154 because there's potentially some action around 152, risk, blah, blah, blah. Like, you know what? No, it's okay. So I walked away from that read, but FedEx is, a name, and this market is bouncing. Okay, I see you, market. And now my $8 winner is $7.45 on Netflix. Netflix, no. What are you doing? Can we hit double digits on Netflix today is the question. And whether I can withstand whatever comes with this little move to the upside. Now that we're below 227, I'm kind of itching to hold just to see if I can do it, because I've already locked in profit. I'm just like, now it's just like, can we hit this target? This is just a random target too. But you got out of Apple, right?
I'm like bad. Somebody in the chat was like, Apple, the battle here at 140. I'm like, oh yeah, the battle is real. This is kind of what I'm thinking. I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm battling for the long. I'm trying for it. Took a couple of L's there, but not really a big deal, like going for the bounce play. But you know what? Now that I think about it, it's like, it feels like we could get a nasty flush at some point, because what tends to happen is you get this level that's in play. It sort of was lackluster, not really crazy amounts of bounce to the upside. Now we're going into 3 o'clock, and it's like, why are we not ripping back to the upside? If it does go now, like if this is the candle that, rips it to the upside, it goes without me, so be it, is what it is. But my worry on this is, I kind of like it. I'm playing some type of over-under. Didn't really execute on it good enough, but I feel like we're slamming down every time, which sort of gives me that feel like, we could see a nasty flush. And I guess this is where I should just, like lighten up on the size, take it easy, let it breathe, see what happens next. But man, I mean, if you guys ask anybody around here, like, talk to Ian, talk to Spencer, I get caught in these nasty flushes sometimes, and I was like, damn, like I did not expect that one. So that's kind of my logic. That's why I'm battling here. But I'm sure a lot of other people are battling. It's printing quite a bit over and under, right? So, I'm not 100% sure on where we're going from this one. But something else I want to talk about very quickly is NEO. This thing they had the negative catalyst, I think it was last week or the week before, and then through 15 and just, constant downtrend. And I think we're seeing the same thing over and over again. And somebody, before asking in the chat, is the market going to halt to the downside? Like, is it going to have a 7%, move to the downside? I mean, here's the thing, right? Anything can happen, and it happens when you least expect it. I think with, CPI coming up, a lot of traders are looking at that. A lot of people are thinking, are we going to make a move? Is it going to be another down move? What is the number going to come out? And keep in mind the midterms in the U.S. that are going to be in November, right? So I almost want to believe that we could see a washout bottom around that time. But for the most part, October, it looks like we're headed lower. And let me just quickly drag over, like, just kind of perspective on this, like the daily on the ES. This is my take on it. It's like this, we kind of bounced, and then we sold off today. And it's been a constant theme, right? It's like a little bit of a bounce, sell off, right? A little bit of a bounce. You got the CPI number that came out. That was pure destruction to the downside. Big sell off, holding that sort of low area, call it the June lows, just in and around that area. Very weak looking bounce. And then, sell off again. So are we going to break 3,600? Are we going to 35? Where's the bottom? I have no idea. I don't know if you have any downside levels that you look at.
In terms of potential supports?
Like if we this is my thesis. It's like if we flush, right? If we break this and if we flush, if we kind of break the market to the downside, it's like what levels would you be looking at? Not so much for a long, but in terms of support, because my take is, I think we're around the 200 period, if I'm not mistaken, on the market. And if we break that and flush lower, do we actually have any support? Is there any kind of gauge on that? I have no idea. I've never seen this before. I've never traded an environment like this. So it's definitely interesting to watch, definitely interesting to see. And my take is sort of, maybe you flush lower, hit like 35, 34, and then quickly reclaim back up, and then print a lot again at the 200 period. And I'm not 100, I don't really know how I trade it, but I kind of want to believe that, there could be something spicy ahead, whether it be, later this month or going into midterms.
Definitely something spicy ahead, because like you said, there's a lot happening, not just within the next month and a half or so, or even month and change, but also within the next week, right? So I was looking at the calendar, and I'm like, okay, CPI, okay, everyone's looking at CPI on Thursday, but you've also got Fed minutes on Wednesday. So you're going to get a pretty good indication of what they were thinking in the last meeting. So we'll pair that with what happens on Thursday. We've got CPI for September, and keep in mind, excluding food and energy, that's a number to watch as well, because energy prices have been nuts. But all that being said, look at the market. This is the weekly, and if you're looking for potential support, you're like, okay, where can I potentially find some support here if this market does take 3,600? Next up, and this has got to be the next one up, is going to be that 35. Yeah, it's a big round number, not because it's a round number, but because of how much time we spent back in 2020 hesitating around here. Like, we initially dropped from 34, back in March of 2020, we dropped from 3,400, right? And then you would imagine once we got above 3,400 in August, that it would be, okay, it's time for new highs, let's just, work it. And they did not. They really stalled out. They fell from that 36 all the way back down a couple times, finally got some traction, got above 35, stuck with it, and then there we went all the way to 48. So with that amount of action happening in that 3,500 area, I would imagine 35 is the first look, and the next one up would be somewhere between 3,350 and 3,200. So that's going to be the next one up on the weekly chart, because this kind of angle in terms of trend, this is unsustainable when we move this fast, right? We got to take a break or at least come off a little bit, and that's what we're getting here as the market comes back into this 35. Next up would be 35, and then 3,350 going to 3,200. And that's still, that's, when you think of it, 35 is only 150 points away. It's not that far. And given how this market can move, we can get there fairly quickly. So a lot happening in the next month, and with CPI, that market goes very quickly to specific levels, and for all it it comes out good, market decides that this is going to be a rally and we're going to bounce right off that support and we're going to be at 4,000 by the end of Thursday. So
Yeah.
leave both sides open when you decide to go and think about those kind of things. Brendan.
A little one just popping up once again, guys. This HYFM was a big mover about. Hey, this time yesterday afternoon as well. So just took out day highs there on some volume for HYFM.
Yeah, it's crazy, and I want to add to that. Anything is possible. Anything can happen, and keep both options open. I like how you every time in the morning, kind of giving the breakdown on the ES, saying if we go up, here's kind of a long idea, or here's a bounce play, here's a short idea. I think one of the mistakes coming into trading was, I have my bias. I want to be right. I like the long. The long is going to, I'm not going to be wrong. I'm going to only look long. But you leave a lot of money on the table if you're not considering both options, right? So, from a scalp perspective, from a long-term perspective, doesn't really matter how you're looking at it. You want to be able to recycle, play off these levels, have both biases. I think it was the last CPI number. I was like, okay, I think we're going up. I think the long might be good. And then the number came out, and clearly, we were going down, and I just quickly flipped to the short, and actually missed the fill on that. And, I didn't chase because I'm like, I'm not going to chase. I wanted it over here, and now it's down here. And, yeah, that was, what was that, 150 handle move?
It was a very quick move.
Yeah, like a 200 handle move to the downside. So, safe to say you don't get those every day. No. If you did, everybody who's a trader would be a multi-billionaire, I think. Or out of the business, but that was my mistake. I was quick enough to flip short, but I wasn't quick enough to gauge that this is a chase. Like chase this because this move could keep going, right? So for the next one, I will be ready. I have no idea what to expect, but long and short both on the table. Really depends what the number comes out, what the market thinks. But yeah, definitely interesting with everything coming out. And yeah, guys, let us know what you're trading as well in the chat here, because I've been looking and I don't see any small cap tickers. And I'm like, man, I was excited to come on here and, thinking maybe we'll get some tickers that are doing crazy amounts of volume on a Friday, but I guess not. People asking Tilray, what is Tilray doing? We spoke about it briefly before. It looks like it's inching its way up very, very slowly. The thing is, as a trader, guys, remember, react to the moves and then let it go, right? So yesterday you had the move to the upside, you're long, right? You take your profits, you're done. Capture whatever. You could have captured 50% of this move, you could have justified that. And then as Arun mentioned before, the short good today kind of could not get above that area, 420. Go figure, couldn't get higher than 420, So kind of funny there. But yeah, fade to the downside, and now we're back over here, and it's just kind of very lackluster, not really doing much. Maybe you could justify recycling shares, taking fills, catching rebates if that's your thing. For the most part, though, SSR, more of a challenging fill. If you are taking a short on it, I think the trade is done. There's really no trade. You're long yesterday, you're short this morning. You're either nursing shorts, covering because it's end of day. Going into the weekend, I'm not 100% sure there's a trade here. Like I would not be shorting this to collect 10 cents to the downside, nor would I be going long for a move into VWAP on this name. There's probably other names, there's probably other opportunities. Like that 140 play on Apple. So hopefully you guys were more patient than I was, because now this thing is starting to work. It's at 140.40, and I'm not in it. I took the L on it, but it's okay because it's Friday, and we have a long weekend here in Canada. But yeah, I think everybody will be in.
But the markets are open. We're trading U.S. markets, so we're on U.S. holiday schedule, regardless of how you feel about Canadian holidays. I'm going to be trading. I'm actually in on Monday as well. I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Neil's off on Monday, so I'll be in for Neil on Monday. So you guys are stuck with me one more day on Monday, unfortunately. So we'll figure it out. But markets rallying a little bit off these 50s. Like I said, 50 was holding up a little bit better than I would have expected. And so I walked away from some of the big winners that I had, right? PG, we're locked in at $1.50, I think, $1.57 or something like that on this trade. So if you can see this, yeah, that's my exit right there, 124.20 something. And now it's trading at 38.40. So we saved about 20 cents or so, and this market's coming back up. And then, yeah, I tried, guys. I said it, I was going to do this, and then I'm like, nah, I care about my money more than I care about sticking to what I said, which is holding on just for the sake of holding on. Because I'm like, oh, can we get to 225? I'm like, no, I'm going to take my $7 and walk away. I don't like how this futures market's reacting around 36.50. Could I regret this later? Sure. But I mean, $7 per share on the name, after riding it as long as I have, I'm pretty happy taking the win, especially when I think there's going to be some covering happening. And you're starting to see a small fraction of that. It's going to be really sad if that's all they have, because this market's probably going to come right back down if they can't rally more than 6 points. But I'm looking for, when I'm thinking cover and rally, I'm thinking like mid to high 60s. It would make sense to me. Even into the low 70s would make sense for this market to get going to the upside. What I was hoping for was that Etsy would just do nothing like it has been doing all day, but yet there goes Etsy to the upside as well with the market. I'm like, really though? Like, I'm just trying to limit the damage, but because of the way they reacted, I couldn't really do anything about it. I'm like, there's no point in taking the hit here, because one, it's in the middle of that range that I wanted to play with, and two, I can potentially get a sell side imbalance at the end of the day. So it was in a tricky spot. I'm just like, you know what, it doesn't make any sense to get out here. The risk reward on that would have been so screwed up if I had gotten out, so I'd rather just take the hit versus getting out. So we're gonna hold on to Etsy, Caterpillar as well out of the money, and we're just holding on to those two. At this point, I've made my money. It's just I'm gonna lose something, obviously, with these two losses, but we're just gonna go from there, and maybe we can pick up something on the futures as well. If we do get that covering rally, maybe we can fade that. I don't know yet. I don't know how I wanna play that yet, but I need to see how aggressive it's gonna be first before I get involved on the future side again.
I just quickly pulled up AMC because somebody in the chat was, AMC is strong, and I was like, strong? Like, where are we on this thing? And I'm like, 650. Whoa, I haven't looked at this name in a while. But I see what you're saying there on the 1 minute. I mean, you know, volume's kind of dead. It's down 8.6% today. But, you know, I got a story here. You know, and this is actually kind of funny. So I go to my friend's house the other, you know, this was before when AMC was actually at 64 a share, like up in this area.
Yeah.
And I was talking to my friend's aunt, and she was like, "Oh, Luca, you're a trader. I'm long AMC." I was like, "Oh my God, yeah, you and everybody else."
Did you take out your phone and you're like, sell?
Yeah, I'm
right
literally
now?
like, I told her, I'm like, I don't know about that. And here's the thing. Guess where she's long from?
I'm gonna say she said she was long from where?
She said she was long
at 54 or 64.
No. I spoke to her when it was over here, and she's like, "I'm long."
Oh, she's probably long. Like she probably got maybe long at, I don't know, 10, and she's just like, I'm trying to be greedy about it.
That's a good guess. She was long at like 5. Like she was like, "Oh, my average is 5. Like I had it from before, and then I added."
Okay.
And it was at $60 a share, and I'm like, "Oh my God, you have to sell that." She goes, "No, but I read online that this is going to 1,000. I'll sell it at 1,000." And I'm like, "Oh my God, like, what do you like?" And it was painful for me to watch that, but it was also hilarious, like the kind of diamond hands. And she's like, "Oh, I'm up so much. Like, I'm just gonna hold, let it ride. Like, what are the odds that it goes back to 25? I'll just sell it there. It's the same thing." And you know, now it's back at 6. So you know, hopefully, if you were long from over here, you know, you got some out. Sell the strength on these moves. But you know, here's the funny thing about AMC, and I want to just quickly talk about this. You had that first move up, right? And then it tanked back down. And as a trader, I was like, this is done. Like, this is done. You're wrong. You're not. It's not going to 1,000. It's not going to 100. And after this move up, I was like, all right, I'm never gonna say anything about anything ever again. I'm done with my predictions. I'm just gonna react to moves, and that's about it. Because I thought for sure this was the squeeze. Then it was dead, and then it was done. But then a move to 70, right? But you know, I think for the most part, volume is the tell. You have the volume here. You have the volume here. You know, they did the offering. This thing nuked. It's below 10. It's absolutely dead now. I would be surprised if this thing actually does anything else. But this was kind of like in the heat of the moment, right? Kind of crazy. But, you know, crazy to see my friend's aunt, who is not a trader, you know, and for the most part, not an investor, who actually had a crazy return and, you know, held that.
But that's the thing, though. There's nothing wrong with, like, you know, saying it's going to go to 1,000, right? It could easily. We don't know how it's going to react, but at the same time, like, there's got to be a plan in place to take some profit. Like, last thing you want to do is be up so much and then be like, oh yeah, it's like all or nothing. Like, take some out, man. You got the call right. You deserve to be paid for it. You know, it doesn't have to be all of it, but you can take something out. So at least that way, you're like, in the event that something goes wrong, at least you have something to show for that entire move. So I mean, like, this market is coming right back into the 50s. Okay, I guess we're done buying. I don't know.
Yeah, this is. I was even thinking. I'm looking at Apple, and it's back at the top of that channel for anybody who wants to take that trade. And let me just bring it up on the so everybody can see here. Back towards the top of that range, and this is the daily. Sorry about that. This is the back towards the top of the range, that 40-50 area. I think it's very clear, like, it's in a very simple channel. You can just recycle that over and over again. And I want to say thank you to Fernando. 2 beers for the boys at the game. Sorry, ain't much. $50.
That'll get them more than 2. I think
more than 2, but those beers.
Maybe 3. It'll get them 3 beers. But to be fair, though, like they're at the Dome, right? We've got 2 arenas here. So the baseball team plays at the Dome. And then we've also got the arena for our hockey and basketball teams, right? And I was hearing the other day that they're actually changing the menu. They're upgrading the menu in the arena. And they're going to have fancy things like elevated pulled pork sandwiches and all this other fancy stuff they were naming. I was like, damn, that's not just hot dogs and nachos. That's some extra. If you ever went to that arena, $50 ain't going to cover anything. But no, these guys got to handle. $50 is going to get them more than 2 beers. Hopefully, maybe 3. They can share the last one. But thank you so much, Fernando, for that super chat there. And this market coming right back in, man. Like, what are your thoughts? The way it came back, for me, I was thinking covering. But if they're not going to cover, it's still early. They can still cover a little bit later. But if they can't cover, this gets very dangerous very quickly, right? If it just falls right through the 50, right through 45 again. We have nothing until 3,600. That's just because it's a round number. So I got to keep an eye on this one. I can't really do anything else. I've already cashed out my equity positions that were in the money, and we're going to hold on to CAT and Etsy to see the imbalance. If the imbalance is positive, I get out. If the imbalance is negative, I'll try to take it right into the end. If it's really starting to move to the downside, CAT and Etsy, then I'll just kind of throw it into the book, into the imbalance orders at the end. So what you can do essentially is kind of just participate in the amounts yourself, right? If you have the market on close or limit on close functions available through your broker, for us here, the way we have set up here, we can participate in however we want. So market on close on the end, I'll just set a market on close buy, and then if I need to, we'll just get out with the final print of the day. But for the time being, we thought the market could cover and rally. No, not yet, apparently. So we're going to wait this one out and see what else this market's got. And then we're going to come back and hopefully get a move towards the end, because this sets up for Monday. Whatever happened today, hopefully this market, the big downside of a Friday is that between Friday, because the equity market closes at 4, futures markets are open. They changed the hours, so it's not 4:15 anymore. I think it's like 5. So futures markets are, because of the Globex system, they're almost 24 hours. So I think they close at 5. So there's still like an hour or 45 minutes or whatever after 4 o'clock while the equity side is closed. The futures market can still go. And then you still have the pre-market on Monday. So a lot can happen before we can get to the open on Monday. So who knows? On Monday, we might be coming at 3,600 or we might be coming at 3,700 based on how this market has traded in the pre and the post after today. Brennan.
All right, I wanted to mention a couple of things here. BKD, if you missed it earlier, popped up again here on some volume. There was some buyout chatter earlier. So this thing went from 4 to 5 and is kind of hanging out here around 475. So heads up on BKD popping back up to life. We had a question from Michael Noss. Michael Noss, chartered market technician from Trade Ideas here, and has been all day. We thank him for that and the knowledge behind some of these answers. We had a question regarding rate of change. So we're looking for individual stocks with big volume spikes or big increases in the rate of change over a specific time period on the platform.
Yeah, so the question I think was specifically trying to look for short-term momentum pops, things that are kind of exploding out of the blue. And that's something that we actually do really, really well. It's one of the first things that we built into the system. So you can look for dollar or percentage gains for 1 minute, 5 minute, 10 minute, 15 minute, daily. So yeah, finding these things that are popping either on volume or on price is one thing that we do really well. And I know that's how you find some of the names that are in play now. Yeah,
so important when you're looking for things that are moving right now. You want to know exactly where the action is and be able to get there before it dries up. So to answer the question 100%, that is exactly what the platform is built for, guys.
Yep, so I was just actually quickly looking at this. I don't know if you guys heard me. I was like, wow. And much love in the chat, you know, for your look over there. And just quickly looking at Apple, I'm like, oh yeah, this short looks really good. And then I looked over, I was, you know, listening kind of loud over here, you know, can't really listen. I look back, and there's the flush on Apple. So finally, something that's working here. And, you know, I was actually saying to myself, I'm like, I'm not convinced. This is a Friday. We're down. You know, things are going down. It's probably the easier trade. And, you know, are we going to break that 140 and then sell into 138? And guys, keep in mind, like, this, you know, looking back here, and again, this is a gauge, just like, you know, look at Tesla, look at Apple, look at the bigger names there. Oh, I don't know where my chart just went. But, you know, last time we actually broke through 140 was on a Friday to end the month. So call it a couple weeks ago. We sold off, broke 140, and we're actually below 138. You know, then back above on Apple. So I'm kind of looking for that same setup. Like if Apple can, you know, if it holds, if it's really weak, if it starts to sell off, like we'll see what happens going into the end of the day here. We got 45 minutes left, and you know, definitely interesting. If we break, and you know, again, it's not a hard stop area. Like I wouldn't say short through 139.90 as like that's going to be like the banger level. But you know, build the short idea. I don't think we're getting above 140.60. We had that little short pop, but look how much faster it is on the way down there, right? Very fast move on the way down. So, you know, do yourself a favor and get in on these where you're short and then it flushes and you're so far in the money that you don't really have to worry, as opposed to, you know, battling when it's not really going and then it kind of very slow to the upside. So my mistake over there, this was not good, as you can see, but this is great. So things are working, and, you know, hopefully now we go down and I just kind of hold this and see where it goes and then maybe add to it a little bit later on there. And, you know, thank you so much for everybody that liked this video, but I want to say quickly, if you're enjoying the show, please hit the like button. That's all we ask for. Hopefully bringing banger entertainment for you guys on this Friday. You know, enjoying the show. Hopefully everybody having a great day. I'm enjoying myself. I love coming on here, and it's a pleasure to be here with Arun. I'm like secretly sitting here, and I'm just like, you know, asking a question, and then I'm just like, And you guys can't see it, but I should be writing this stuff down, writing it down in my head, trying to learn, you know, learn from traders around me. You know, it's great, right? So, you know, growing up, I didn't have access to a show like this to watch and learn, right? So, you know, not everybody can have mentors sitting around them, but, you know, log on to YouTube for information, and all we ask is to hit that like button. So much appreciated, and, you know, hopefully you guys are, again, having a great day. Somebody's saying ADTX, so let's quickly look at this one, ADTX. I was looking at this, I was talking to Max about this. You know, we talk small caps all the time, and this is the one that is... Well, this one was low float, high short interest, and at 5 level was on the radar. So actually, and I'm looking at the wrong chart, ADTX, sorry about that. ADTX up on the day, and I want to say that this was the one that actually, it had a run, and then it faded back down, and then came back to the upside. The thing is when you get you know, the float of a stock, that's, call it 1 million, 2 million shares, like these are the things that, you know, you get the tape teleportation, they bounce around, very, very dangerous to trade. It's very difficult to size up on these names. So when you see names that are like $3 and then they move to $7, you know, those tend to be like 5 million float, 2 million float. You know, tape really does teleport. From a day trading perspective, it's kind of challenging, for myself at least, to manage risk on that, because I don't see liquidity. I don't really know what I'm going to risk off of. I'm always gauging it based on risk. We can't hold overnight, so I'm not saying I'm going to swing this thing if I'm in the money anyways. I got to kind of find a exit liquidity there. But, you know, this thing had that high day clear out and then fade to the downside and now back down. I don't personally believe that there's a trade on this. You tend to see these all the time where it's like it has the move up, it does a bunch of volume over here, then it breaks the high, does the most volume over here, then it flushes, and like this is the death candle. So this is the 15-minute candle, but let's bring that back to the 1 minute as a good example, because, you know, small caps are basically all the same. It has the run up, you know, it dips down, entices the shorts, then it squeezes, breaks the high a day, and look at that volume. And I'm trying to look at, if you guys can see that there, or look at on your own charts, look at that volume coming in at the high a day. It literally breaks the high, slams down, and then look at this death candle, and then never back above VWAP, right? So even though we're getting this channel here, I almost want to believe that it's really trying to go, and I'm going to talk very abstract about kind of like how I'm referring to this, but it feels like, you know, it wants to pop above VWAP to, you know, squeeze out the shorts. That's more volume to, you know, take the short again. So the algos on these names are savages. I wouldn't be looking long on this. I wouldn't be looking short this late in the day. You know, who knows if this thing just kind of dumps at the end of the day. It's tough to get those trades unless you're already short on them. But yeah, that $5 level, interesting. I would be surprised. I would be surprised if this thing's near 5 next week. Like, I really don't see it happening. And one more thing I want to quickly talk about as this reminds me here is Peggy. I'm sure everybody was looking at Peggy the past few days and trading this name. I definitely was trading this yesterday. Looked at shorts. They were way more expensive than they were the day before, so I was like, forget about this. I'm done with it. And then late in the day, had the run, and then took the short, and same thing, right? You had the break through 450, very strong move to the upside. You know, tried the, I think this was a long, and then I got out of it thinking maybe we kind of go, right? Got out of this, zero risk there. Then same situation, and this is why I'm bringing this up, same situation, breaks the high, does a lot of volume, and then fades to the downside. The only difference is this, because being a little bit of a higher float, I'm not really sure. Maybe there was a little bit less volume. Maybe it didn't get over 5, so it really not going to give that move. But I slammed the short the first time. It didn't work. I got out. It ripped to the upside, came back down, slammed the short again. And here's the thing. I slammed the short, it flushed, and then instantly stopped. So I was like, why is this stopping? If this is going to be a good trade, it should be all the way down here already. So I slammed the short, and I had my bids out at VWAP. And you tend to see this. It'll do a high day clear out near the end of the day. Then it flushes to the downside, and it's absolutely dead. So my target was VWAP. I had the bids. It stopped over here, and I was like, okay, well, why is it stopping? I have to get out. So it was actually a winner, but this was a situation. It was a weird situation for myself where it's like, it's a winner, but I wasn't necessarily going for like this. I was going for this, and this was like a break even. So, you know, chalk it up, whatever, break even there. And then go figure. Today, this thing not even above 4, right? So I think, you know, a lot of traders are looking at this name thinking maybe this is the name that wants to run to $7, $8, $9. You know, I think it's a solar company, so call it the sector play with oil. Oil's moving, so solar kind of moves in the same direction. But, you know, 19%, now it's SSR, volume's dying very quickly. So, you know, where's that volume going to come for this to really, really break out? Like yesterday, I want to say yesterday was that kind of squeeze out move. Now we're back below 4. This thing's probably dead. So the whole reason I brought this up is when you're looking at small caps, when you're looking at these moves, volume is always going to be the gauge. You know, you can watch the tape. If you're watching the same name over and over and over again, you might see that, you know, the tape looks extra crazy. It's moving around very, very quickly. And then all of a sudden it does these clear out moves. And then it's like a ghost town. It's like, where did the algos go? They're all gone. So sometimes those are the exit moves. Those high volume events are the exit move. Then the algo is completely done with it. And that's when the fade play is good. But, you know, it's a little more difficult because it's going to move a lot slower, but you gotta expect that and just kind of trade your setup there.
Yeah. What happened to my relief rally? Man, I got some of these positions out with the intention of, you know, I'm worried about covering. There's no covering, clearly not yet anyways. Here we are, 43.44 on the futures to the downside. And you know, earlier when we had that super chat, we were like, okay, that was good for 2 beers.
Yeah.
Suspiciously, Neil posted a picture in our group chat, our internal group chat here, and it looks awfully like he's got not beer but wine. He might be too, you guys. He might be too fancy for the beer. I think he's upgraded to wine on the at the stadium. So he is an hour out from watching a game, and I'm pretty sure that's not his first glass of wine, if it is wine. It's either wine or pop, because it ain't beer. So. You know, he might be. I'm going to lean towards this wine because, you know, he's fancy like that. I don't know about Guinness. There should be some foam on that if it's Guinness. But yeah, we'll go to Brendan. Brendan?
Just looking, yeah, no, it's definitely not Guinness because I know Neil is not a Guinness guy. But here is Neil and his lovely wife at the Jays game, and they are, or were at least, 45 minutes early, Neil, for the Jays game coming up this afternoon. But shout out to Neil, having a great time. And then Sean, on the other hand, also very busy, getting prepared for the Jays game as well. So Neil and Sean enjoying the first playoff game coming up this afternoon. Guys, take a sec, smash the like, and subscribe as well. Back to you guys.
There you go. One guy going with the beer, the other guy going with the pitcher of wine. Yeah, one guy going with the pitcher of beer and the other guy going with wine. Having a great time, but the game starts at 4 o'clock. I know somebody earlier was saying, you know, go Blue Jays, go Padres. I don't follow baseball much, but at the end of the day, here, when a team, we only have, like, what, 3 good teams? I mean, now I guess the Jays have been good for a bit. The Raptors have been decent, and the Leafs just love to crush your hopes and dreams every year. So, so for now, the Jays are in the playoffs. Well, not in the playoffs. Yeah, it is the playoffs, but they're, you know, in the wild card They got the wild card to get through. So we'll see how that one gets through there. But a lot of good times to be had watching the next, they got to get 2 out of 3 games, right, to get to the actual round?
It's funny. Like, I'm actually not a huge baseball fan, but this is how the Jays attract fans from everywhere. I got a call from my friend the other day, and he's like, yeah, you know, Jays are in the playoffs. We should get some tickets, you know? And I'm like, you like baseball? And he's like, no, I don't watch it. And I'm like, but I'm down. Okay, let's go. It sounds like a great time. So, you know, why not spend $15 on a beer over there? But yeah, no, definitely exciting. And, you know, I can vouch for it because one of my friends went to a playoff game last time, and he said it was the most crazy experience. You know, fans everywhere going, you know, showing their support. So
have you ever watched an entire baseball game?
I've been.
Have you watched an entire baseball game?
No.
Can't do it. I can't do it. I mean, Neil's a huge baseball fan, so I get it. But like the last time I went to a baseball game, I found myself eating a lot more food and paying attention to my food more than the actual game itself. Something happened. I don't know what happened, but something happened.
Yeah.
But the food was great though. So yeah.
It's, you know, if you want to tell a fan, you could have asked me at the game, like, Luca, what's the score? And I'm like, it's like right now, I'm trying to find my blotter, because usually it's on this side. I'm like, where am I right now? How many shares do I got? Okay, we're good here. And yeah, you know, it's, but definitely a fun experience for sure. And one that doesn't really cost a fortune. I mean, depending on how much you eat and drink over there. But, you know, nothing like the Leafs or the Raptors where, you know, you're spending insane amounts of money. But yeah, for sure. I'm definitely a basketball guy myself. Love basketball. Great 3-point shooter, you know, kind of like Steve Nash in his prime. Yeah, oh yeah. Ask Greg.
Right.
Ask Greg, yeah.
Okay.
I ball. And yeah, I would love
you know,
to play.
if Fahad was here, he'd be like, yo, I can beat you, right?
Yeah. I already spoke to him about it. He's like, yo, I'm a passer. And I just ship dimes. And I'm like, all right. I'd love to have you on my team because, you know, I'll just shoot threes all day, hit those. Lots of fun. But yeah, hopefully, you know, Luka Curry. Yeah, exactly. See, I was growing up for myself, and this is one more thing I want to say on this because this is actually interesting, and you guys will like this. Back in my day, when I shot anything, when I like, you know, throwing something in the garbage, it was always Kobe. You know, you shoot something, I'm like Kobe. And the other day, it's like I'm walking by and I hear like some kid and he like shoots a piece of paper in the garbage and he's like Curry, and I was like, oh my God, it'll never be the same.
I mean, it's a new generation.
Yeah.
Right? And who's hot in the new generation right now? I mean, the biggest 3-point shooter around? I mean, I get it. I get why people are saying Curry now. But I mean, if you were back in the day, I mean, imagine, was there a time, and I don't follow enough, but was there a time when everyone there still is, I guess everyone's wearing Jordan shoes, but everybody wanted to be like Mike.
Oh, yeah.
And then, you know, everyone still wanted to be like Mike, but now Kobe came into the picture, and then, you know, here we are with Curry, and it's always going to be like that. But fans are fans, man, and it's a great thing. It's a different environment. You're absolutely right. Playoff environment is completely different from normal games. Regardless, I personally have never been to a baseball playoffs game, but I also can't push myself to do it because I don't know if I would, given how expensive the tickets are going to be, I don't know if I would stick through it the entire time. So I'm just like, that's not for me. But yeah, we're just gonna, you know, wait this one out. Market taking, oh man, 36.40 now.
This is selling off here, and I'm actually looking at my Apple, and I'm like, I don't want to cover any of this. Like, this is a trade that I'm gonna probably hold this. Maybe I'll cover some depending at the 50 area, but this could actually be at 138.50 by the end of today. That's what I kind of feel like. That would be a huge move to the downside. But again, we are down 4%. You know, depending on how it looks going into the next 30 minutes, we'll see. Some trades you're in and you're like, man, I don't know about this. Maybe I got to get out of this. And that's why I didn't actually love the long. And sorry for talking about the same name over and over again, but I almost want to say, like, I'm looking across the board and, you know, somebody in the chat too was like, oh man, if Sean was here on that AMD trade to the downside, like, yeah, I should have flipped short here. But again, SSR, a little bit of a more challenging trade. It is just falling off. And I'm like, I didn't really have luck with this. So let me flip to something that, you know, seems like it's at a level here, playing the 140 level. And I was worried that, you know, we could see a flush. So it's like on the long, I didn't love the long. So I'm like recycling, building the position. I get out. I'm not even in for the move. But now I'm short. And where's my average? 140.42. And I'm holding. I didn't cover nothing because this one really, really feels good. We're accelerating now to the downside. Yeah. It's looking really, really spicy. And, you know, some trades you're in, you don't love them, and you're just like, whatever. Like, I don't even care that I lost because I don't even like this trade. and then other trades you're in, and you're like, I love this trade so much, where can I add to it? Or let me just hold this trade for an even bigger move. Again, I have no real targets. You guys heard me say 138.50. We're at 139.60, so that'll be another dollar move to the downside. It doesn't look realistic if you draw it on the chart. Obviously, anything's possible, but I want to, with this one, I'm going to hold it until maybe another, actually, you know what, maybe at 30s, 35. We'll see how it is. This will be on a time basis because I didn't actually expect that big flush to the downside. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. It'll just be discretionary. I mean, if buying starts to come in, we could easily get back to that 140 level anyways for a reload. So, you know, maybe take some off and reevaluate that one. But yeah, this one's definitely looking good. 76 cents in the money, and you know, I know Arun over there is sitting pretty, you know, $4 or $5 in the money.
I walked away from those though, right? When it looked like they were starting to hold up the 50s,
Yeah.
I was like, I walked away from that. Took my $7 on Netflix. I mean, Netflix is now at $2.25, so $1.50 on top of where I got out. But I mean, that comes with the territory. If you're having a good day and you're starting to be like, you know what, these are the things I typically look at, and I got to worry about them. It makes sense to take some profit out. If not, in my case, I took it all out. I'm just like, I've had a good run. Let's just walk away from this, because at this point, the final half hour, it can get really wild very quickly. So I don't need to try and hope that it goes down. Just take what's in front of you. In my case, I had the win, and it started to stall out. Same time, the futures market was starting to stall out at somewhat of a significant level at 50. So I'm like, you know what? Walk away from this, and we got out, and it went up. And then came right back down, took the lows out. I mean, you got to live with your decisions in this case. I mean, it is what it is. There's nothing I can do about that, and there's nothing to cry about. $7 in the money is nothing to cry about just because I couldn't catch an extra $1.50 or whatever. So that's just trading is, right?
Exactly. And what I was going to say actually is I'm like, yeah, guys, not everybody can have $7 winners intraday. You know, like over here, 75 cents for myself. That's like, oh, look at this. But you'll never see me in a $7 winner. If I ever am, that would be crazy. Covered a little bit of this Apple on that little bit of a bounce up, covered a little bit. My logic is 139.50 is probably, I mean, even if we break that, we could quickly whipsaw back to the upside. You had some buying that was coming in, and I expected it to kind of quickly retrace, but maybe the 60 level holds. But I'm still holding. I just wanted to cover some. It just kind of feels good. Looks good. That was a really sick move there. So pretty happy with that one. And yeah, we'll see what happens going into the last 30 minutes. The tape is heating up. Things are happening. Yeah. I'm kind of excited here. And somebody actually before was talking about Amazon, so I want to bring this up very quickly and see where this is. I did not trade Amazon today. But yeah, that 115 level is actually it was pretty clean. Damn, I wish I actually brought that up. You could have had the short twice there. But I guess, everything has that same look, right? It's like Apple was in the channel, Amazon was in the channel. If you're looking at a range of these large caps, then you're like, oh, I want to play, the top end, bottom end of these potential channels, kind of basing it on, the ES, and saying to yourself, like, look, the sell-off is not going to happen at like 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock. Like, it's just not, right? There's not that much volume, but volume will come in at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day. And if you're expecting those big moves, set up the levels, right? So whoever was looking at that Amazon, hopefully you had that short off 115. Maybe Apple didn't get to the level and you're like, oh, but Amazon's there. This makes the most sense. This was a big sell into 115 and then we could never really reclaim that. So that was actually really solid. Now we're approaching low day on Amazon here as well at 114. I'm not sure I want to looking at this, it kind of looks like, yeah, we could break through, but I'm not going to test my luck with this 114 level. Like, this could dance around and really chop me up there, so I'm going to let that one go. But definitely a good look. And, same kind of ideology there on Tesla as well. Has the sell-off, definitely weaker than the other names, just kind of from the looks of it. But, same idea, same channel. It's like channeling, right? So it's like, oh, it's at the top here. Oh, you get that second short opportunity and back down. Little bit more choppy, not as clean as the way that Apple was looking. And that was basically my logic of like, okay, well, this is like a very clean channel, so I'll test my luck on something where the spread is 1 cent. That's a no-brainer for me as a day trader, as opposed to Tesla. But yeah, man, that Tesla fade from the morning, if you had the short, I think you had the short, right? On Tesla?
No.
Oh, you didn't have the short?
Sean had the short, but he got out, and he was upset about the fact that he got out for some reason.
Always mad. That's the life of a trader. Always mad. You're never going to be, I go home, I could have my best day ever, and I'll be like complaining about how I didn't execute better, or like, like I should have took some here, I should have had more size. I had actually a sick trade on XOM yesterday, sick long. Went through 100, pulled back, and then that run into 101, 102 towards the end of the day, that was really clean. And it was a great trade, and I made money on it. And all this morning, I was like, talking to the guys here saying, man, like I should have had like 4 times the size and I should have recycled way more. And, that's trading. It's going to be like that. It is what it is. You just got to kind of roll with it.
Yeah, this market is meltdown mode into Friday, the end of Friday here, as this, Etsy, damn, finally, okay, we're walking on, maybe we're gonna get flat on Etsy, I don't know. Etsy's coming back in now. I'm gonna start working the exits on Etsy, and I'm gonna use this to get out, because Etsy has been relatively strong against this market. If I can get a chance to get out flat on this, like I was waiting to see the imbalance, but at this point, I don't need to see the imbalance. I don't even need to put up the risk on this trade. Let's just walk away from it. I have the ability to walk away somewhat flat on Etsy. I'll take it, right? This market is now in absolute meltdown mode as it takes out 35. Remember, once we got through 50 the second time, it was just absolutely to the downside. And at this point, all we're going to be looking at is going to be the imbalance numbers, right? Imbalance numbers coming out in about 15 minutes at 3:50 Eastern. You're going to have NASDAQ New York. Well, all of North America comes out at 3:50. And that's going to be essentially what we're going to use to go into the end of the day. The reason being, given how big the day is to the downside, 4.26% on the downside to NASDAQ and 3.26 on the S&P, everyone's looking for a sell side imbalance. No one knows what the actual number is. You can get some, pre-look, early look imbalance numbers. I'm sure someone has it somewhere. It's posted on Twitter. But
I think it's Financial Juice is the
Financial
is the
Juice,
ticker
yeah.
line,
So they
if
post it
anybody
on
wants to
Twitter.
look.
They usually get a pretty good indicator of what the size of the imbalance is going to be. And if it's going to be a sell side imbalance, there's going to be probably a lot of action that needs to be done at the end of the day. So at 3:50, the numbers come out. At 3:55, the floor orders, brokers that get put into the imbalance. And then at 4 o'clock, all of that gets executed, or whatever's left gets executed. And we get to see the imbalances through here, right? So we have something called an imbalance locator. The information is there. Is provided from the exchange. It's just a matter of how your broker and whether your broker has programmed it into the system and whether they can display it. For us, this is our system. The software is created in-house. So we have something called an imbalance locator, which allows us to see what the imbalances are for at 3:50. So I'll go through this whole thing and why it matters as we get closer and closer to it. In the meantime, we'll go to Brennan.
A little one moving, guys, wanted to bring to your attention. This is GBR. Looks like a low float. 3.74 million on the float on this one. New Concept Energy, oil and gas name, on the NYSE ARCA exchange to the upside.
Gas, you say? Oil and gas, huh? With the crude futures up 4.68%. They closed, the majority of the volume was done as of 2:30, but it's still trading, Globex, right? So 4.69% to the upside. So clearly, as the market goes to the downside, crude to the upside. Gold is also down, 4.7 something percent to the downside. And this market is not done selling just yet. So let's get prepared to figure out what we're going to do in the event these imbalances come out. Etsy, I'm out of the way, by the way. So I walked away from Etsy after being pretty much out of the money since I got in. We are now out of the way, walking away from this, because I don't want to hold on to Etsy, because Etsy's level 2 looks like this. As much as I wanted to hold on to it, the only reason I was willing to hold on to it, it's not that bad actually. The only reason I wanted to hold on to it because it was so far out of the money. I'm just like, at this point, I have nothing else to lose. Let me just see the imbalances. But if I can get out flat, I don't need to gamble on the imbalances, right? So we'll just walk away from that. I've still got Caterpillar left. That's the last one I've got to kind of handle. For all that's been done, the only negative name that I have on the day right now, and will probably still be negative by the end of it, is Caterpillar, down $1. Everything else, we've cash on Netflix, PG, Boeing, Google a little bit, Etsy, flat, and then I've got BAC as well, but BAC was just to get the system up and running, so that cost me next to nothing. And then we're waiting for the imbalances to come out. Imbalances, they look like this, right? The way it is in our system is on the left-hand side, we've got symbol, direction of the imbalance. This is from earlier this morning, so ignore, let me just hide one thing. Highlight, okay. So on the left-hand side, you got the symbol, the side, and then the size of it, right? So the reason this matters is because this tells you how many people want to send orders in to participate in the official closing price. We get that information at 3:50. Obviously, the exchange is getting everyone sending their on-close orders into the system now. They'll tabulate all of that, provide kind of a data piece that gets sent out, and we'll get that information at 350. Once that information is out at 350, these stocks are going to go move accordingly. Why? Because that volume needs to be done to participate in the official closing price. So let's just say an imbalance of 4 million comes out for Apple. That means there's 4 million shares that needs to be done on Apple in the direction that the imbalance is saying. So if it's a buy side, it's going to be a buy side imbalance of 4 million. That's going to put pressure on the name going into the end of the day. But there's a few checkpoints it has to get through. 350 is when the imbalance first comes out. 355 is when you get information inserted from the floor side. So the floor broker's orders get put in. And then what tends to happen is at 350, you might have an imbalance in one direction, and then, or large imbalance, let's say 4 million on Apple. And at 355, that'll disappear to down to maybe nothing, or you could even flip to a sell side because the floor is willing to take, and them and their clients are willing to take the majority of that. They're willing to offset it. So you're going to see imbalances change, and they're live, they're updated every time, every 10 seconds or something like that. So they're going to be moving throughout from 350 onwards towards the end, but at 355, that's where you're going to see a major change in the size of these imbalances. If they're still big after 355, then there's going to be some pressure put on that name going into the end of the day, and it looks like they're finally doing their cover run as we finally go through here to the upside. I guess the shorts are covering now, it seems.
This is crazy. Yeah, I just quickly stepped away, and this is the reason why I cover some over here, because now we're all the way back over here, and I'm still in my short, but now it's like not looking, clearly as good as it was before. But yeah, we'll see what happens there. Maybe we get back down. Sometimes you hold, sometimes it runs against you for the last portion of the position, but still in the money, so no big deal. And kind of expected this pop. But yeah, as quickly as things go down, they can come back up, and that's just how it be sometimes. And, you just got to kind of roll with it there. So, just make sure you guys are managing risk and, good things will happen.
There's a question in the chat. Because I do a lot of the webinars for our company. I do webinars for our new managers related to software functions. And somebody was asking a question, does PPRO8 have a trailing stop feature? Anyone knows? Yes, it does. If you are part of the company, go on our internal tip web page, go into research, go down, and inside of script orders, I have a video here on the website, and you can see how to set it up through there. So if you're on our platform, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you're not on our platform or on our network, then ignore that completely. But yes, it does have a trailing stop feature. I've done videos on it. Just go find it on research and resources tab of our internal webpage to get the answer to that through a video, because I just did it actually not too long ago. So that's there for you guys. And here we are, market still rallying. You couldn't do this earlier. You couldn't do this earlier. I mean, come on, man. I got out earlier for that very reason. And now you're going to do it after it's, going all the way down to 35, and now you're up to 50. Now you want to cover? Like, really? Okay, fine. I mean, at the end of the day, the only thing I'm happy about right now, I got an Etsy. I did not want to participate in Etsy at all after seeing that type of move. So if we're going sideways, I'm not going to gamble on the imbalance on Etsy. So I walked away. So at least I'm out of that. And Caterpillar, I'm definitely going to lose on Caterpillar. I don't think an imbalance can help me. I'm out at $1.60. I mean, I've done well. I can take a hit, but I don't want to lose, though. But, it comes with the territory at the end of the day. You want to be a trader, you got to learn how to lose, too.
Yeah, you got to learn how to lose and lose often. And people in the chat are like, cover, cover, cover. And I was like, yeah, I think I'm just going to cover the rest of this. So I'll lock it in as a winner. Got some out over here. Got the rest out over here. What a move to the upside. Like, I look at this and I just laugh. Like, I'm trying to hold back my laughter. As a trader, you gotta, take it in stride. A lot of people, you trade, you lose, you get upset, you maybe break a desk or a monitor.
Whoa, you're breaking desks now?
No, I said, no, for me, I laugh. I just laugh. I go, yo, Ian, look at this. But yeah, no, sometimes the move, that's why, right? The move to the downside, your gut is telling you, oh, I should take some, and then the greed takes over, and it's like, you're like, oh no, but what if it goes here? Like, I could make so much more. Eventually, as time passes, as you trade more and more, you realize I'm just going to scale out. Like, let me pay myself along the way. I held some there, but whatever, is what it is, no big deal. And still a good day and a great week, I tell you that much. So nothing can really upset me now. Actually, I shouldn't say that too soon because there's still 15 minutes to go. But yeah, we'll see what happens. And Luca flipping desks off. Yeah, no, guys, I'm not my lot. Like I'll lose and I'll just be like, wow, and then like whatever, it is what it is. Like go for a walk. I'm not breaking a desk. I learned my lesson. Like you don't want to punch a wall and break your hand. Like I've had friends that do that, and I just think like, why? Now you can't go to the gym, you can't play ball, you can't do anything, right? So just things are gonna happen, is what it is, and you kind of roll with the punches there. Yeah, just kind of gauging everything. See, I wonder where's AMD right now. Let me just quickly pull it up because I'm just curious. And yeah, 58.61. Yeah, this thing's dead. I mean, the tape on this is dead. I'm surprised at how the morning action was. Now it's like kind of drifting around. You're getting the bounce with the rest of the market, but this bounce is very, very weak. Very weak relative to
the market, right?
Yeah, relative to the rest of the market here. Like Apple is like strong. Like that move was crazy to the upside.
Yeah, and the market's covering all right. They're definitely running some sort of covering move. Going back to the breaking of desk thing, think of it this way. Like, let's just say you're frustrated and you break a desk, and from personal experience, whatever, you break a desk, break your monitor, whatever, right? You may have lost and you may have gotten angry, but now you got to buy a new one. So that's going to cost you even more money. So you got to buy a new monitor, you got to buy a new keyboard or whatever. So I mean, like, at the end of the day, taking out your frustration on your equipment isn't going to be very helpful. So I'd be, a little bit better about how to kind of, just walk away. I think Lone Sofa's said it the best there. I remember earlier he said that he had a rough day and he had to walk away. I mean, just walk away, man. Save yourself some more money because it's going to be expensive if you got to buy yourself new equipment too. Because at the end of the day, we need our keyboards and our monitors to trade, and they ain't cheap.
Yeah, someone's saying, Luca, you need to read chats more. We're funny. I know you know what it is? And this is going to sound ridiculous, but being on the left, being on this side, everything is now backwards. And even at my desk over there, everything is reversed from how it is now. So I keep like looking in areas that there's nothing there. And I'm like, what's going on here? And I'm like, where's the chat? Because the chat's usually here. And yeah, it is what it is. So, whatever. But yeah, somebody was saying, Luca, read the chat more. We're funny. You guys are hilarious. And I'm sad that I missed whatever you guys said there. So, if you said some funny stuff, feel free to say it again. Keep the comments coming. Absolutely love it. And yeah, when you have a tough day, things don't go your way, the market will be open the next day. So, just come back and, try it all again. And assuming you didn't kind of blow up, then maybe you could justify the smashing of a desk. But yeah, again, like save yourself money. Don't break things. Don't break your hand. It's just trading. And, there's a lot of cool shirts going around saying it's only money. So take that advice. And yeah, this market is kind of crazy here. I don't even know what to think. And what time is it here? It's we got 15 minutes to go until the close. Yeah, this is just doing a lot of volume. And this is the interesting thing, right? It's like I always look at these moves and like you get the channel. Like for example, everything's gonna have the same look. But taking Apple as the example off the 140 level, you get the channel, you get the breakdown. The selling is very, very aggressive. Like this is not so much liquidity vacuum, but like as the selling subsides, you got to imagine that the move to the upside can happen just as quickly. And now we're back to the upside. And I almost want to say that unless something changes, unless there's like, maybe a big imbalance on Apple that comes out randomly and it's like, oh, somebody has to sell so much of this name, maybe it just kind of goes back into that same range. And now it like bounces off 140, runs to the upside, and then closes between 140 and 140.50. Like that is definitely a potential on this name. So I'm just watching it and kind of wondering, I don't really, maybe there's like some scalp opportunities. It's definitely printing a lot, so you're going to get a lot of fills there. Luca, careful there. Great at roasting. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you guys are. That doesn't bother me though. Like, I mean, I get a laugh. Like,
you know what the thing is though? When you get roasted, I appreciate the witty ones. The witty ones, the one where they're like, you know what, they put some thought into it. The ones that are just like, yeah, you're this and you're that. And
you
like,
suck at trading. Okay,
like, I mean, try it a little bit harder. But the good ones are the witty ones. I appreciate those, definitely.
Yeah. And I'm sure like every other comment is like, oh, that I saw in the beginning, everyone's like, oh, that haircut, this and that. I think it looks all right. It's not bad. But again, like I said, guys, I come in the morning and my hair is fresh. Then I go through a day of trading, and I'm like, no, this, that, damn it, oh my God, look at this. And then I look back, and I'm like, should I fix this for the show? I go, no, I don't even know how to fix this. And then somebody in the chat also was like, did Luca lose his Bass Pro sponsorship? Let's just not talk about that. Let's not talk about that.
The answer then is yes.
Yeah, let's move on from that one. and get back to what is. Hopefully, everyone's going to have a great weekend and has some fun plans. I actually have a wedding tomorrow.
Nice.
And you know, it's. I mean, I don't really want to go, but you know, it is what it is. Whatever. There's been so many weddings this year, and it's been crazy. And I don't know if you guys go to a lot of weddings, and you know, you got to give the boosta, or like, you know, you give them some money for getting married. And I'm just like, I got to get married now just to break even. Like, all these people, I went to all these weddings, giving all these boostas. Now I got to, like, how am I going to get this money back? So, you know, and inflation too. So it's like, if I'm giving you whatever, and then you come to my wedding in whatever amount of time, you better tack on a premium. You better tack on a premium over there. But yeah, hopefully everyone has some fun plans for the weekend. And yeah, you know, this market. Prad's over here going, holy moly, what's going on? Yeah, Prad, exactly. My thoughts exactly. You know, that's trading for you.
You know, Luca, I would say though, because you have, you said you're talking about your hair and, you know, whatever. Enjoy it while you can, my man. You're a trader. That ain't gonna last that long.
Yeah, I don't like to hear that.
Yeah, enjoy it while you can. As most traders, I'm sure, maybe you guys aren't. Maybe you guys are, you know, amazing. You got very good hair follicles that are well taken care of. But most guys do lose their hair because there's a ton of stress that comes with the job. But hey, at the end of the day, is the reward worth it? That's the question that you got to do. And in my case, I said, yeah. It's not just money, it's money. Brendan.
All right, guys, we're getting set to wrap up a very exciting day, a very busy day for the market. Wow, as we head back towards the lows, officially 4% for the NASDAQ right now. Michael Nass still with us from Trade Ideas. Make sure you guys check it out over the weekend. Stay tuned on Saturday as well. We're going to have a special kind of how-to video on how to get started with the platform, what to look for on the platform right out of the gate, and a few very easy, simple things that you can do to get started. If there was, Michael Nass, one thing that we could kind of point new users towards as a, you know, first step as to using Trade Ideas, what would that be?
So I would have to say it's got to be our new Ray scan, which is a relative strength intraday scan. If you just want to go to my screen real quick, I can show some setups that I actually took. I had the pleasure of talking to you guys, and of course, as a trader, I was trading the whole time. And yeah, as Brendan was saying, it's a really bad day in the market. You know, it's down 4%. I only took long trades and was able to be profitable today because, again, I'm just focused on this one window here that's just showing me all of the stocks that are up the most for the day from their open. And I'm just like the guys in the desk are doing, I'm just playing support and resistance zone. So here's one on AB EO that broke out earlier in the day and came in to hold this level and buying it here. Nice risk reward trade. Another one real quick was this GGE that we actually talked about live. Was doing very, very strong early, broke that prior high, pulled back in. And again, another great trade. You can see the buys and sells there. So the beauty of trading this way is regardless of the way the market is going and regardless of what is going on, you are just always ignoring, if you're a long-only trader, you're always ignoring the stuff that's going down. And if you're a short-only trader, you're always ignoring the stuff going up. So you're trading with the trend, which is the one thing that I kind of implore you will make your life way easier than those who try to pick bottoms.
Michael Nass is a chartered market technician with Trade Ideas. We appreciate his time. Guys, check it out over the weekend. Trader TV 30 gets you 30% off. Let's get to some closing imbalances, shall we?
Yeah, imbalances. Everybody was like, oh, we're down huge. It's going to be a sell. Nope, it's the buy side imbalance. I'm seeing that it's, you guys are in the chat are putting 2.2 billion. I don't know what the exact number is. I'm sure Brendan can get it for us at some point. But I'm looking directly at the imbalance locator and seeing what's big, what's not. AMD, wasn't it selling off all day? Yeah, it was. But guess what? Buy side imbalance, 1.5 million shares to buy as of right now. Keep in mind, 355. We're going to get an update. That's going to be the critical one because if that gets bigger at 355, there's going to be a lot of buying that's going to be done on AMD after it's been down all day, right? So AMD, keep in mind, that's the largest at 1.4 right now. LU 1.3 to the sell, UMC to the sell, ARMK. I haven't even heard of these names before. BAC is there. BAC is always there though. BAC's gone. It was there and now it's gone. Siri doesn't matter. BAC, there you go. 1.1 million to the buy. AT&T 1.1. Pfizer 1.1. Amazon 756K. So all the names that are in the indexes are on the buy side. These, you know, random names, ARMK, UMC, whatever, they're on the sell side, but the index names are on the buy side. So you're seeing pressure in the index itself as we popped up. What did we pop up from? From 45 or 46? We went as high as 55. 10-point rally to the upside off these imbalances. Now we know what to expect towards the end of the day. Remember, I was getting out on Etsy. I'm done. Now I got to get out of CAT. The CAT's not, CAT came out with the buy side imbalance as well. I'm just not going to, I'm going to bid my way out of CAT. I'm not going to get out here at 60, but I am going to bid my way. You guys might see on this locator that I have something called a PV, which is the paired value. So how many shares have already been matched? So at some point, what this means is at some point, the 3.3 plus the 1.48 was the imbalance, but they found somebody on the other side, somebody willing to take 3.3 million shares, and now they're left with 1.4 million on the buy side. So that's kind of how the pair value matters. Why? And I tend to look at it because if there's a large pair value, that means the imbalance, there's a lot of interest in the name, right? That means someone's willing to come on the opposite side, willing to take some shares off the table here, so the imbalance gets smaller. And the more interest there is in a name, the more you can actually gauge whether that's going to be something that you got to watch out for or not. Right now, 3.3 is going to be the second largest because Amazon had 3.6, at least in the top list, 3.6 million shares paired on Amazon, and it is falling off. There's 672 left on the board, 3.6 million shares paired. So Amazon had a huge imbalance at some point. That's unusually large from my experience as well, but that's also pre-split. So imbalances have gotten a lot bigger on Amazon clearly, but I'm going to keep an eye on this. Let's keep an eye on 355 because in 15 seconds, you're going to get the imbalance update from the floor, and that's going to essentially tell you where this imbalance is going to go. Did AMD disappear? AMD's gone. This is before 355,
yeah,
okay.
That was kind of crazy. I'm actually watching Apple. It came out of, not a huge buy, but it was actually like 150 to 200 mil notional buy. And then it was at the top here, and then it flipped to a sell. And that was a weird flush through too. Like it flushed through 140 and then quickly reclaimed that. It's doing a lot of volume. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it prints like around this price. It's Friday, you got some option expiry at the 140 level. Like this thing maybe just wants to be at 140. Now Apple will sell 850,000 shares. I mean, it's not too much. It's not absolutely huge, but the fact that it was a buy and then it quickly flipped to a sell. That was a very interesting end of the day there. Mm-hmm. And I'm not really too sure. And somebody actually in the chat said something that I wanted to comment on, but oh my God, I can't. I don't know if I could. If I'm gonna find it here now. AMD buy. Okay. If I come back to it, I don't know. Somebody. Yeah, I like turtles. Okay.
What?
Yeah, so,
wait, what?
I don't know. I'm just like reading through the comments. I'm like, oh, where was that comment? And then I'm like, see that one. I'm like, okay, yeah. All right. So yeah, but look at this. I mean, this is the thing, right? These things whip around, and I have here on my screen Apple. It's like this thing was just at 139.80, then ripped right back. So at the end of the day, you're getting lots of volume that's coming through. You have the imbalances. Sometimes they're buy. They flip to sells. You get the big flip that comes at 55. It prints around, it prints a lot, and I just think that like that channel, it's weird how that channel was respected. So it's like this is the channel, right? Right around here, you're getting sellers, 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 and then sellers again. Even though it had such a strong move to the upside, it stopped right at that range. It didn't even break the 140.50. It was a buy imbalance. It ran up on that. Then it flipped. It started to kind of dwindle down, flipped to a sell. You had the kind of flush. Now it's still a sell, but I almost want to say that based on the way it's looking, this thing is probably going to like stay within the range. Somebody's saying FNGR. Yeah, I was trading that actually the other day. FNGR. I think, oh my gosh. And this is what happens, right? Like, look at that flush. That's crazy.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, and that was at 55. I don't know if that's imbalance related.
No, hold on. I'm going to pull up a chart. I don't trust our own system because those charts get messy very quickly. Which one is it?
Somebody said that it tanked, though, and it's a small cap, so I actually believe this. And here's the thing. These things, if they halt in the last 15 minutes, then they don't open before the close. So they'll actually open on the closing print, and then it'll be after hours. And this is the one that actually smoked everybody the other day. It had some, it did the exact same thing, but it was lower. It was below 5, and I think this is the one that actually dropped, went back up, halted, opened after the close, and then ran. One of them did that, and that was an absolutely savage move there. So, be careful on that one. That's what you get with small caps. Kind of crazy. That flush is crazy. And this is the thing. These guys know what they're doing, right? They don't pull the rug until, these halts open after hours. So that's why you have to be careful. But I think, simple, just inform yourself on these things, right? If you know that, halts in the last 15 minutes are not going to open until after hours, and then after hour liquidity is way worse than during market liquidity, during market hours, don't get involved in the name in the last 15 minutes. Maybe it's not worth it, especially going into a long weekend. It's a complete crapshoot as to where this thing goes. And I bet if I pull up the daily, or let me just quickly pull up the hourly. Yeah, this thing was, it was like it was at 3, and then it had the run, and this is where that actually happened, I think. Then it just like ran to the upside, doing crazy amounts of volume. That 10 level is interesting if we get there. I mean, the higher the better for myself, because then there's an opportunity on the short side if we get to the 10 level. And yes, Prad yelling at me, tell them we're here on Monday. Yes, we are all here on Monday. Maybe I'll be at my family's house, but we'll see what happens. I mean, this market's extra spicy, everything down so much. We'll have to see, Canadian Thanksgiving, lots of turkey to be had. And, and lots of espresso, too, to wake me back up, to get me ready for the week ahead.
When I went to Europe, when I was on my vacation through August, man, espresso in Italy is dangerous. It is dangerous. Like it is, it'll wire you up real quick. So that's a lesson to be learned for anyone who hasn't been to Italy. So Italian espresso, guys, just be aware. It's just like the market. It's always it's out there to get you. So here we are going into the final 40 seconds. This market's sitting at 36.53 right now. Nice little bounce at the end. Surprise buy side imbalance. And you know what? This market's getting exciting now. Now that we've kind of gotten through some major levels and we've got some space to 3,600, opening the door for potential trades. Definitely Monday. We're here on Monday. It's a holiday in Canada, but not in the markets because we follow the U.S. markets and they're good till November. So for now, we'll be back and we're about 15 seconds out, and then I'm just gonna, we got some people waiting on the bell with 10 seconds left. 7. No, I was a little late. I tried to time it out a little bit. I was a little late, but here we are. 3, 2, 1, and we are closed. There you go. That's the end of the day. 3.84% on the NASDAQ, 2.83% to the downside on the S&P, and good old crude is up 4.5%, and then gold also almost down 5%. So quite the day today, but it's not over yet because we've got a lot of trading left. October has just started. Historically, October has been quite a negative month, so this may be just the beginning of what we're going to see for the rest of the month. Let's hope not, but hey, I'm sure Brendan's got some more info for you on that.
Yeah, let's make it official. Here's how things wrap up for a pretty ugly day, guys, to the downside. We come off the lows a little bit at the end of the session there, but yeah, as you were saying there, Arun, 3.87 for the NASDAQ, 2+ for both the Dow and the S&P. What a day for oil. Yeah, 4.6%. That's actually off the highs a little bit, I noticed, but still big day. Higher, 2.8, 2.6 there for Bitcoin and Ethereum. It has been a very exciting day. It's been a big day for us here with Trade Ideas. Michael Noss, thank you so much once again for stopping by.
Thank you very much for having me.
And providing so much information throughout the day. Again, guys, Trader TV 30 all weekend on screen right now. Trader TV 30 all weekend until Monday. Get you 30% off Trade Ideas.
Yeah, I mean, hey guys, it may not be a holiday for where you are, but it is a holiday for us. So there's turkey happening and there's a little bit of gobble action with that 30%. So get that as well. It's available for you guys until Monday, end of Monday, I guess. So take advantage of it. It helps you figure out where your trades are. If you're looking for very specific types of setup and you can't go through an entire, S&P has, 2,500 names? S&P 500, obviously, but then the small ones also. So there's a ton of names that may be setting up the way you want. That's a very useful tool to have that type of setup where you can just be told, hey, this thing's breaking out. Okay, great, perfect. I'll just go in and take that trade. So that's the thing with tools and options, not just options, but like options to have tools so you can actually make your trading a lot easier because trading is already hard as it is. Might as well get some tools to help you and make it a lot easier for you. So that's what we got going on. I know you got turkey action going on. I've got some food coming. I'm not sure what it is. It might be ham, it might be turkey. We'll see. But there's good food to be had. But we'll be back on Monday as well, just to get more action on trading. October is not just getting started. This market's showing us what it can do. We'll be back on Monday, guys.
All right. Thank you so much, both of you guys, Luca and Arun, for filling in admirably for Neil and Sean, who are enjoying the Game 1, guys. I just saw it. Getting underway right now as we speak at the Rogers Center, so go Jays. Thanks once again to Michael Noss. Thanks to Lucas behind the cameras today, doing a great job for everyone. For everyone here, though, have a wonderful Thanksgiving long weekend if you're in Canada. Again, we're back on Monday, live 8:30. Check it out. Tomorrow morning, again, we have the how-to video coming out for trade ideas. Trader TV 30 gets you 30% off until Monday, guys. Thanks again to Arun and Luca for filling in this afternoon. We'll catch you all on Monday morning. Have a great weekend.